I'm certain that you've all been craving this. For those of you who remember, quite some time ago, I made a what-if called What If Naruto, Dragon Ball, and One Piece Collided? Sadly, it never got finished. That is, until today. That's right, for your viewing pleasure, I am happy to announce that we are releasing the final part. But first, we should mention that as a way to celebrate, as well as to help those who may have never witnessed those previous what-ifs, we are going to be playing the first two parts back to back before continuing this story, one that I've so wanted to finish for quite a long time. So I hope you'll join us in enjoying this video. Get ready, because it's about to begin. But before we do, let me say, welcome to the Amagi. Only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you don't want Fu to come to your house at 3 AM tonight and experiment on you, I suggest subscribing. You know, if you love us. Anyway, let's get into the video. As Fu sat there, he looked at a monitor. As he did so, he held a remote control in his hand while he stuffed popcorn into his mouth from a massive bucket in his lap. It was at about that time that Madara Uchiha stepped forward, looking down on his partner from up above. His eyes turned up to the monitor. Is this that universe you mentioned not long ago? The one that collided all by itself? The one you didn't have a hand in? Fu swallowed before grabbing a Satan Cola to wash down the husks. I wouldn't say it collided by itself, but it was indeed a collision that I had nothing to do with. I see, and this is somehow going to help us. Fu looked back. If nothing else, it'll let us know what we have in store for when we finally launch our time war against Kranoa. I see, Madara said. Why don't you take a seat, bestest buddy? No thanks. I think I'll stand. Fu sighed. Well, stand somewhere else. You're killing my mood. Madara sighed and grabbed a chair. At least start it from the beginning. If this is going to be any use to me, I'd like to know what happened. Fu rolled his eyes. But I literally just caught up with it. He looked back at Madara, who gazed at him with an icy stare. Fu sighed and smiled. All right, he said, as he raised the remote to hit the rewind button. Let's go back to the beginning. Fulfillment, peace, freedom. Three concepts that all forms of life chase. All humans anyway. Or, well, we idealize them anyway. A world where nobody is lonely. A world where nobody needs to die in a war or lose those they love to circumstances beyond their control. A world where anything you wish to do and see becomes reality. Three concepts that are pure and desirable, yet elusive. This is the story of colliding worlds. But where do we start? The beginning is good, but perhaps the best way to start a story is to introduce the heroes. In a world where anything is possible and anything you wish for could come true, a particular spiky-haired man in an orange gi sat on a picnic blanket, pigging out as per usual. Goku, I've known you for years, and yet your appetite still surprises me, a woman with blue hair said. Sitting before Goku was bento box after bento box. Goku loved to eat. It was one of the many things he indulged in that brought his life fulfillment. It brought him joy. He wasn't the only one. Vegeta, to his side, was also stuffing his face like a pig. Was this some sort of rivalry? Had they somehow turned gluttony into a competition? No, that wasn't it. Vegeta ate like this at home as well. So what was this? Saiyan instinct? Saiyans were a proud warrior race, and Vegeta would not let you forget that. Ever. To them, training and eating were life, and it only made sense. A big and varied diet, along with daily exercise, weight training, sparring, and anything else that would get the body moving were keys to growing one's strength. As work tore the muscles down, food built them back up. Their life was one of constant battle, not because it had to be, but because they loved it. They were always looking for trouble, just to enjoy the tension. Saiyans were a mystery all to themselves. As simplistically as they lived, their lifestyle choices on the scale of a planet made no sense. Why did they have to be in combat their whole lives? If you asked Vegeta, he would lecture you about pride, but what did it mean to have Saiyan pride? What did any of it even mean? So what? Vegeta fought simply because that's what his ancestors did, and he had somehow fallen into subscription to a warmonger's toxic masculinity. That being a man meant having pride, being strong, and fighting all the time. Not Goku, though. Goku respected all forms of strength, physical, mental, or spiritual, and he had fought for years before he ever knew he was a Saiyan. It was bred into him. If you had asked him why, he would have said, because it's fun. But were Goku and Vegeta slaves? Were they slaves to their genes, to to their race? Or could it possibly be that contentment did not have to come from being yourself? Bulma smiled as she watched her husband and her childhood friend enjoy their meal. Perhaps I'm overthinking this, she thought to herself. Perhaps freedom isn't the only decision to go your own way. Maybe freedom was also the decision to go the way others went. The only question that mattered was, does this make you happy? Contentment, a simple thing. Goku finished his meal and sat back with a sigh. Phew, that was good. Vegeta, stoic as ever, sat there silently, watching what he might call idiocy, but his own way of caring for a friend. Without speaking, they both knew what was on each other's mind. Hey Vegeta, wanna spar? For the first time today, Vegeta cracked a smile. But as they stood, a new energy filled the air. In the heavens above them, a red circle expanded. Rings of crimson and red, scarlet and pink, opened as a dark core appeared, a hole dug in the sky. From within, an ominous wind blew, and the bolts of electricity forming white-hot plasma. What is this energy? Vegeta asked as he looked into it. Goku stood there, his generally happy-go-lucky brow furrowed in a serious manner. I don't know, he said before cracking a smile, but whatever it is, it's strong. Konohagakure was a peaceful little village. The Fourth Shinobi World War had made it so. In all honesty, it was contradictory that war should beget peace, but perhaps there were just some causal nexuses that could never be separated. These were the thoughts of Sasuke as he sat atop the Hokage's monument. What are you thinking about? Naruto said as he stepped out. Naruto saw the sight and wondered to himself how many times he'd been here. How many times had he looked upon the scene? The finest handiwork, the most pure brushstroke of any artist, drawn by the very hand of God. A living painting, one of incomparable beauty. Sasuke looked back at Naruto, seeing his white cape draped about him and his ever-present smile that spoke of optimism and believing in hope for as long as life allowed him to. Sasuke couldn't help but return the smile a bit. I was just reflecting on our journey to this point. All the struggles, strife, and hardships. Naruto walked up next to him. And if I could go back, I wouldn't do anything different, the Hokage said as he looked out over their peaceful little village. He looked down at Sasuke with a smile. What about you, Sasuke? Sasuke thought about it. There are a lot of things I regret having done. Naruto nodded. But you were on your own journey. Perhaps life took us in different directions, but it taught us the same lesson. What it means to be a shinobi. It's a rough road, but consider this. If you had done anything differently, would you be who you are today? Where you are today? Would Konoha even exist today? Sasuke thought about it. I suppose you make a point. I don't like it much, but perhaps these things were necessary. I still feel guilty for it though. Naruto plopped down next to him. It was as if Sasuke could hear the tension leaving Naruto's spine and almost hear every wound up muscle loosening. The job of Hokage surely was a tough one, even if you had to sit behind a desk most of the day. It means you're a good person, Sasuke. Shame isn't a sign that you're bad. It's proof that you aren't. Because if you feel bad for the bad things you did, then deep down it means that you agree with the good. So at your core, you must be good. Mistakes are made by everyone. The desire and willingness to change and be better is what separates a hero from a villain. Today, Sasuke, today you are a hero. Sasuke shook his head. Why are you always like this? I can never sulk in peace without you somehow making me feel better about myself. Naruto laughed as he scratched at the back of his head. I guess it's just a gift. Suddenly, as they said that, a massive portal opened up. Naruto and Sasuke both stood. What is it? Naruto asked as he peered into the dark center of the projected rings. Otsutsuki? Sasuke asked as he looked at it. He activated his Rinnegan to peer deeper into it to sense nothing. What do you see? Naruto asked. Sasuke was silent for a moment. I do not see any chakra signatures, but that is most definitely some sort of space-time jutsu. It's connecting us. Connecting us to what? Naruto asked. Sasuke shook his head, unsure about what it could be. We need to check this out. Thundering clouds roared overhead as a single ship passed through the raging seas of the Grand Line. At the helm, the captain stood, his smile defying the very nature that threatened to scuttle their tiny ship. Defiance. Defiance was his middle name. Monkey D. Luffy, captain of the Straw Hat crew, smiled brightly in the face of certain doom. His dreams of adventure, of becoming the pirate king, at reaching the pinnacle of freedom burning within him like a flame that lit even the darkest of hours. Below on deck, Usopp and Chopper ran in circles, crying for their lives as even the first mate, Roronoa Zoro, seemed to be sweating in anticipation of an oncoming demise. Or so it seemed. It could have simply been the rain rolling down his cheek, the same rain that smashed into them like 1,000 razor blades. After so much time traveling, after so many kingdoms and battles that they faced, to be afraid of a little bad weather seemed ludicrous, but even Luffy wasn't dumb enough to deny the strength of the sea. "Are you sure we're going in the right direction, Nami?" Luffy called out with a loud voice as to be heard over the roaring winds. Attempting just to stand, Nami gazed at the map. "We are." Luffy let off a hearty laugh. "Then deeper we go. We will find the One Piece, and I will be king of the pirates." In the crow's nest, Nico Robin kept her eyes open. The horizon seemed clear, but that was until she noticed something appear not too far from the bow. It had come out of nowhere. Lightning struck the sea, and suddenly the water opened up like the drain of a bathtub. Robin's blood ran cold. She cried down with a voice so loud she feared she might destroy her vocal cords. "Maelstrom!" Frankie heard her words, and without even a glance at Luffy, he began to turn the wheel, pulling hard to starboard in hopes of evading the deadly whirlpool. Turning to the point of going a complete 180, they attempted to get out of the eddy's pull, but their ship continued to drift in its direction. Pressing a button, Frankie attempted to activate the booster engines to get them out of there, but suddenly something unprecedented happened. The formation of a waterspout. No, wait, it wasn't so much a waterspout, more like the maelstrom had inverted. The water that once pulled down into the heart of the Grand Line now ascended into the heavens. Following it up, Nico looked into the clouds and saw what looked like a hurricane in the air, a swirling mass of clouds. As the ship's booster rockets finally took, the ship creaked and lurched forward once more before being pulled back. "We can't get out of it," Frankie shouted as the vessel continued to be pulled toward the spinning pillar of water. The whole crew screamed and cried in terror, all save Luffy, who laughed with an unnerving insanity, a challenge to death itself to see whose will was stronger. And suddenly, with that, the ship passed into the clouds. As they flew through the hole, their eyes were assaulted by a negative image of the universe itself, as if blacks had become white and reds become blue. Holding on for dear life, their ship passed through the infinite nothingness of a world beyond comprehension, a world where fantasy and reality were the same. For a moment, Luffy thought he caught a glimpse of a strange floating structure out in the void, but as his eyes turned to look at it, the structure had disappeared. "What was that?" he asked himself. Suddenly he heard Nami cry out, only for her hand to be grabbed by Sanji. "Nami dear, I'll never let you go," he cried with infatuation despite the situation they were in. Robin, still in the crow's nest, somehow shouted down, "White hole?" Luffy asked questioningly. He looked out and saw another swirl of perfectly circular clouds as white light poured out from the center. They continued to move closer to it when suddenly they passed through. Gravity caught them and suddenly began to jerk them down. "We're gonna break up!" Zoro shouted as they fell. Frankie shook his head. "It'll take more than a simple fall to shatter the Sunny." "You'd better hope you're right," Zoro responded. All Straw Hats gripped whatever they could as the ship suddenly hit the surface of the water. They floated there slowly as the crew attempted to regain their bearings. Nami stood and looked at her maps. Pulling out a log pose, she attempted to regain their bearings, finding that it was not working. "Bad news, guys. It looks like our log pose is busted," she said. "It's not busted," Zoro said as he stood in the doorway. "We're somehow no longer in the Grand Line." Nami's eyes widened with confusion. Luffy was by portside rail, looking out over the sea with his spyglass. When Nami grew closer, he handed it over to her. She took a look through and saw land, but not like any island she had ever seen before. This was large. It was an entire country, it seemed. But what startled her more was what she saw on the landmass. "What are those vehicles?" she asked. Frankie took a look. It was metal, possessed for wheels, and an enclosed cab. "Looks like some sort of cart or detached train car, but more compact." "A car?" Luffy asked. Zoro stood there silent for a moment. Then he spoke. "Well, we're not gonna figure out anything just by sitting here. We should make port and see if we can get a hint at our location and how to get back into the Grand Line." And with that, they steered their ship, making their way closer. As they drew closer, their vessel weaved and bobbed between submerged buildings of a type they'd never seen before. "What happened here?" Sanji asked as he lit up a new cigarette. "Looks like the city's partially submerged," Zoro said as they viewed the buildings passing them by. They came to what could only be described as some kind of wharf and dropped anchor. Stepping out onto the concrete, the confused Straw Hat crew walked around a bit, hoping to find an answer. All the while, Luffy's stomach growled. "I wonder if they have someplace to eat." Goku and Vegeta awakened in the city proper. They were upon a rooftop. "Oh, what happened?" Goku asked as he sat forward. "What could be so strong that it could knock out I, the Prince of all Saiyans?" Vegeta asked with a hint of anger in his voice. Goku thought back. He saw a flash of the universe. He recalled seeing something flashing there and a glowing being of immense proportions, but before he could remember more, his mind went blank, as if trying to protect him from remembering something either he couldn't or shouldn't. Standing up, he came to the edge of the building and looked down at the rest of the world. It wasn't quite West City. Goku reached out to seek any familiar key. He couldn't sense Krillin, Piccolo, or Gohan. No, he couldn't sense King Kai or Beerus either. The only familiar energy he sensed here was Vegeta. "Where are we, Kakarot?" Vegeta asked as he came to the edge. Goku shook his head. "Heck if I know." The two ascended into the air and began to fly about, looking down on the city. So much of it seemed familiar, but not quite. Slightly dystopian, not too unlike Trunks' world. It was hot. The air was sweltering, the humidity so high that Goku felt sweat already forming on his brow. "Strange. Wasn't it fall? Why does it feel like summer?" Vegeta asked. "I'll never get used to your Earth's seasonal cycle," he said to Goku, as if somehow blaming him for the sudden change of seasons. "We need to find someone who knows where we are." Naruto and Sasuke both woke up in a children's playground. Sasuke found himself laying across the top of the monkey bars, and Naruto found himself on the swing set. It was nostalgic for a moment, but upon awakening he found that he couldn't be further from Konoha. The world seemed similar to their own, but oh so different. Naruto found Sasuke and pulled him down, giving him a light shake to pull him back to his senses. "Naruto, where are we?" Naruto looked around. "Your guess is as good as mine." The two began to walk around. Naruto thought back. "Sasuke, can you remember what happened?" Sasuke shook his head. "I remember getting pulled into the portal, and everything after that's a blur." "Me too," Naruto uttered. The two walked on, searching for anything that stood out, maybe to mark their location. As they walked down the streets, civilians on the sidewalk near them couldn't help but look back at these two men wearing the most outlandish clothes. Naruto looked around. "I feel like I stick out like a sore thumb," he said as he caught the momentary glances from everyone around them. "This world is similar to ours, but completely different," Sasuke said. "You think we're in another world entirely?" Naruto asked. Sasuke nodded. "That's the kind of portal that opened. It would also explain why nobody recognizes the most well-known Hokage since the founding of our village." As they walked on, Naruto stopped. Sasuke turned around and walked back to Naruto. "What is it?" Naruto pointed to a large sign. Sasuke, turning his head, read it aloud. "Welcome to Tokyo 3. "Where is Tokyo 3? Naruto asked. Suddenly, there was an alarm that went off. A citywide PA system began blaring a message loudly. "A state of emergency has been declared. Please board the nearest tram to the underground shelter. I repeat, a state of emergency has been declared. Please board the nearest tram to the underground shelter." The message repeated itself further a few more times. "What's going on?" Naruto asked. Suddenly, they felt a shaking of the ground. Naruto and Sasuke looked to each other. They began running toward the nearest building, their chakra allowing them to stick to the side. Coming to the top, they turned around and saw a light coming over the hill. There were strange vehicles hovering in the sky, each one discharging some sort of loud projectile weapon. Missiles not too unlike those used by the Ashura Path began to be launched from the vehicles. The people of Tokyo 3 were fighting something. Naruto and Sasuke continued to watch as suddenly a creature appeared before them. It was large, dark, and appeared to have bone-like protrusions, like an exposed ribcage and shoulder blades. Its face was not too unlike a plague doctor's mask, and it possessed a single crimson orb in the center of its chest, near the solar plexus. "What is that?" Sasuke asked. Naruto shook his head. "Possibly a sort of tailed beast?" Kurama cut in suddenly. "No, that's not a tailed beast. I don't know what that is, but it possesses no chakra signature whatsoever." The creature moved a little forward, but was halted by another barrage of missiles. There was a shimmering light as the creature blinked twice, its head turning slightly in either curiosity or annoyance. It raised its hand, and from its palm, a blast of energy left, skewering the flying vehicle. It must have been annoyance. "Sasuke, we gotta help," Naruto said. Sasuke nodded. Naruto jumped down from the building. "Kurama!" he cried out. "Way ahead of you, Naruto." Suddenly, the fox-like beast wrapped its golden energy around Naruto, turning him into a glowing golden fox of comparable size to the creature. Sasuke was not far behind, forming his perfect Susanoo. All the while in the distance, Goku and Vegeta saw the creature and the two glowing warriors that rose against it. "Come on, Vegeta, this looks like it's gonna be good." All the while, the Straw Hats walked the streets and upset Luffy, whining about how there were no restaurants open. Feeling the disturbance, he would use his gum-gum powers to pull himself to the nearest building. "Wait, Luffy, come back!" Sanji shouted. Luffy witnessed the battle and made his way over. As the airships flew overhead, the pilots looked back and saw Sasuke and Naruto. "Crap, more angels?" the pilot asked. A voice then came over the radio. "Blood pattern negative. Those are not angels. Then what the hell are they? Naruto came running in as Sasuke came up the rear, pulling his blade. Naruto reached out and attempted to punch the creature, only for his hand to hit what felt like hard glass. He tried to push through, the hard glass beginning to feel like crumpling foil beneath his hands. There was a tear, but even though his hand got through the strange energy field, a new energy field was generated behind it, this time even stronger. It pushed Kurama back. Sasuke jumped over the Ninetales and swung his blade down, only for it to get caught on the invisible shield. The creature let out an angelic cry as it raised its hand and struck out at the Susanoo, knocking it back before catching both Naruto and Sasuke in a cruciform blast. Holy hell, Vegeta shouted as he saw it. Did you feel that, Kakarot? Goku was almost dancing. Yeah, I felt it, Vegeta. It felt like a high power level. Goku would explode into Super Saiyan and rush toward the creature. Due to his small size, the beast didn't bother throwing up an energy field. He struck it clean in the jaw, sending it stumbling back. It turned to look at him, its head twisting ever so slightly, blinking a bit. Goku smiled. It's actually kinda cute. Suddenly, it let out a roar as a halo of light appeared around its head. Goku was pushed back as it rose into the air and moved over the city, dropping down in another location. There it stood momentarily before it began to beat into the ground. What's it doing? Goku asked. Hell if I know, not that it matters. I'm taking this thing down now, Vegeta shouted as he turned Super Saiyan as well. He rose into the air and looked down upon it. You dare turn your back on the Prince of all Saiyans? I'll make you suffer for that. Pulling his hands to his sides and raising his leg over the other, a purple energy began to form around Vegeta that sparkled. Goku cried out, Be careful, Vegeta, you don't want to blow up the whole planet. Before Goku could even finish his warning, Vegeta had fired. Gallic gun! The purple energy came out of the sky, down on the creature. It turned its head to look at the blast coming and let out a troubled warble before throwing up another AT field. The field caught the blast, but began to falter as Vegeta poured more power into it. Take this! Vegeta shouted as he increased the volume of the blast. The shield shattered and the creature was eaten up by the blast. As Vegeta hovered above the flames, he smiled and looked back at Goku. Nothing at all, Kakarot. I'm disappointed. We should have stayed home. Goku pointed down toward the flames. Vegeta. The Saiyan Prince turned back, a gasp caught in his throat as he saw it rise from the ground. The creature's body was heavily burned and damaged, but suddenly new body parts began to form under the old, bubbling flesh boiling to the surface to cover and repair old damage. The creature regenerated to full power as if nothing had even happened to it. Swinging its long arms, it knocked both Saiyans to the ground with enough force to create a crater below them. Luffy saw this and came flying in. Gum pistol, he shouted as his arm pulled back, extending with extreme elasticity. Then suddenly the hand went forward until it too was caught by the field. The creature gripped his hand as its eyes flashed. Suddenly there was an explosion of light. Luffy was blasted. The creature then threw the boy to the ground. One of the remaining pilots called it in. Unknown combatants on the field. Friendlies by the look of it. They're attacking the third angel, but to no avail. A voice on the other side spoke. Roger. Sending out EVA Unit 01. Suddenly, a hatch on the surface of the streets began to open up as a guiding rail shot up. A moment later, the rocketing elevator came to a sudden stop as what appeared to be a violet-colored robot appeared. It stepped out and pulled from its back a large rifle. It began to fire at the creature, its blasts managing to somewhat pierce the AT field. However, this did not do much to stop the beast from moving. It pulled a progressive knife from its shoulder and began to approach the angel. Using the knife and all the strength it could muster, it began to push through. It supplemented its cutting power with its own personal AT field, which proceeded to overpower the enemy AT field. Once through, the Evangelion unit stabbed the knife deep into the red core, cracking it. Twisting and turning the blade, red ooze-like blood began to pour from the now screaming angel's core. With one more deep shove, the entire core split into two before suddenly bursting into a pool. The entire angel itself slowed its movement to nothing. All aircraft were ordered to pull back as even the EVA unit also pulled away. Suddenly, the angel exploded into a pillar of light, with two more secondary pillars appearing in the uppermost sides, not too unlike a cross. A rainbow circled up over the cross as a final angel cry could be heard before all went silent. Angel terminated. Repeat. Angel terminated. Naruto and Sasuke would awaken in a room all to themselves. It was white and barren, save for 2 beds, an IV drip for each, and some medical equipment. Naruto sat up and reached for his head. Did anyone catch the license plate of that lightning bolt that just hit us? Sasuke looked over. The hell was that thing? Naruto shook his head. I don't know, but whatever it was strong. Suddenly the door opened and 2 men wielding automatic rifles stepped in and stood on either side of the door. After this, a woman in a red jacket came in. She looked to each of them. Are you two feeling okay? Naruto nods. Yeah, thank you, but Who are you, and where are we? The woman smiled as it seemed they were owed some answers. I am Captain Misato Katsuragi of NERV. You're currently in the medical wing of NERV headquarters. May I ask your names? I'm Naruto Uzumaki. And that over there is Sasuke Uchiha. Can you perhaps tell us more about what it is that we fought? Captain Katsuragi raised a hand. All in good time. First, we need to make sure that you're healthy. When Dr. Akagi finishes a physical, you'll be taken to a briefing room where we can clear up any confusion. Naruto nodded. There was a loud thud. The guards seemed to be put on edge a little. There was then a call over the radio. Captain Katsuragi took a listen to it. It seems one of our other guests is unhappy with his current situation. I need to go check on this. I'll see you at the briefing. After some time passes, they're brought into the briefing room where they meet a boy in a straw hat eating all the donuts. Naruto sits down near him. Hello. The boy looks at him curiously, mouthful of sugary sweets. He swallows hard. Hello. Naruto introduces himself. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. Luffy looks at him, feeling slightly nostalgic, as if he's maybe met this man before in another time and place. Monkey D. Luffy, pleasure. Not long after, an angry man with spiked hair walks in. Another in an orange jumpsuit follows. Calm down, Vegeta. Don't you want to know what's going on? I don't need to know what's going on, Kakarot. I want to find that big-ass monster and kick its ass. That might not be possible, Captain Katsuragi says as she walks in, her young charge by her side. The creature was neutralized. Vegeta's eyes widen in wrath. What? By who? Katsuragi points to her left. By him. The young boy offers the smallest smile and a slight wave with his hand. His name is Shinji Ikari, and he was the pilot of EVA Unit 1. Goku immediately slides over and looks at him. Wow, he's young. Can't be much older than Goten and Trunks. He pokes the boy's noodle arms. He could stand to do some training. You know, maybe I'll take him out and spar with him. No, Shinji manages to get out before his voice fails him again. He better be strong, Vegeta said. He stole my chance at getting back at that oversized skeleton. I'm gonna take it out on his ass. All color fades from Shinji's face as he stands there. Suddenly, Goku and Luffy make eye contact. Both raise their index fingers to point in surprise, and both exclaim at the same time, "It's you!" Naruto looks from Goku to Luffy, then back to Goku. Katsuragi raises a brow. You two know each other? Goku stands there for a moment. Well, sorta. We met once in a tournament. Captain Katsuragi then continues. At about 1100 hours today, the Magi picked up strange readings over the skies of Tokyo 3. The doors of Guff had opened as if it were the second impact all over again. But no angels came through this time. It seems as if none of you have any records, nor do any of you possess any knowledge of this world. So it's only natural to believe that you came through the doors from another dimension. The question is, why? Naruto then spoke. Can you tell us about that creature we saw today? That, another voice said as it entered the room, was an angel. Misato stood. Commander. Shinji stood there silent for a moment. Father. His expression was one of surprise, but then faded into not so subtle dissatisfaction as he looked away. You mean like Whis? I didn't know Whis could be so butt ugly, Goku shouted. He obviously means another type of angel, Kakarot. What are angels? Sasuke asked from the corner behind Naruto. Commander Ikari then began to explain. Angels are ancient life forms that inhabited the earth before man. Their single goal is to exterminate mankind and reclaim the earth as their own. Exterminate, you say? Vegeta said with a smile. Are they strong? Gendo looked at Vegeta. Immensely. They seek to initiate the third impact to reform the world into a world of angels. Naruto raised his hand. Second impact? Third impact? I've heard this term thrown around quite a bit. What does it mean? The commander then looked at Captain Katsuragi. Would you be so kind as to explain, Captain? Misato nodded. The impacts are events in Earth's history that changed it forever. The first impact is when the seed of life came down to Earth, Lilith. This seed propagated and created what you would today call the human race. That was the first impact. The second impact occurred in the year 2000, when an expedition to Antarctica discovered a second seed of life, tentatively named Adam. An experiment went wrong, and the seed activated, releasing an L field that converted all life in the Antarctic to its base parts, before raising sea levels by melting the Antarctic ice shelf. This threw the Earth off its standard axis, which caused the world to be cast into eternal summer. So that's why it's so hot in the middle of the winter, Vegeta said. Misato continued. With the second impact and the tensions that rose thereafter, over 50% of the Earth's population have been eradicated. But after the awakening of Adam, some of his progeny have appeared, the angels. Their goal is to initiate a third impact, thereby eradicating all Lilith-based life on Earth, humans, and replacing them with angel kind. To that end, NERV was established to fight off the angel threat, and the Evangelion technology was created to assist in that effort. Naruto nodded. That still doesn't explain why we're here, Luffy said. That's something we're still trying to figure out, Commander Ikari said. We're hoping to figure out how you got here, and more importantly, how to get you back. What? You want to get rid of us? But I want to fight the angels, Goku shouted. Gendo looked to Goku. This is our fight, not yours. I thank you for all your help, but you should stay out of this. We will provide you with room and board until we can figure out how to get you home, or until we can help you find better living arrangements. I have my ship, Luffy said. That's all I need. You guys are free to come too. I bet Sanji would love to cook for you guys. Goku seemed excited. Food? Hot dog! Count me in! Naruto looked to Sasuke, who shrugged. Naruto smiled. Me too. Gendo gave a slight nod. If that's everything, then you're free to leave. Misato walked to Gendo. Do you think it's a good idea to let them go like that? They could be a great help against the angels. Gendo looked back. We cannot rely upon outsiders, Mitskatsuragi. Perhaps they could be of help, but this is our fight. We shouldn't rely on anyone but ourselves. Misato gave a solemn nod. Yes, sir. Then she left. Gendo would return to his office where he would sit down at his desk. Fuyutsuki was nearby. He placed his hand on the control panel and pressed a button. Suddenly, the room came to life as a holographic projection. Before him, multiple monoliths appeared. The test to open the doors of Guff with the key of Nebuchadnezzar was successful, but some unintended side effects occurred, Gendo said to the monoliths. And those side effects were? One of the voices asked. Things passed through from within, not of angelic origin. It seems they utilize the anti-universe as a means to travel from their worlds to ours. They appear to be quite strong, though the third angel seems to have caught them off guard. One of the voices spoke. No matter. The angels come in a strict hierarchy of power. They will grow stronger as time passes. These interlopers will likely fade away before they can interfere with instrumentality. Your only job here, Ikari, is to keep the project on track. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Each of the pillars, one by one, began to disappear, leaving Gendo in silence. Staring across, he would see a shadow sitting in a chair. Cabals, groups of people controlling the populace through deceitful means. It always puts a bad taste in my mouth, the shadow said. Ikari sat there for a moment before he took a deep breath. He then spoke. Let those who pretend to have power continue to believe that they possess it. After all, God is in his heaven. All is right with the world. The shadow sat there silently. In my world, they called me a god. Others called me a devil. Which do you call yourself? Ikari asked. The man thought for a moment. I'm a man, a simple man who seeks only one thing, freedom. True freedom. Freedom from the chains others would put on me. Freedom from the pain the world brings. Freedom to be who I desire, see what I desire, do what I desire. I had thought that perhaps with my power I may slay my enemies and free my people. But I've done that so many times. I'm tired of playing the devil. I wish to play a god now. With the power of the angels and with the power of the Golgotha object, I can finally free myself from the only chains that could ever bind me. Fate, and with it, I will fulfill all of our dreams. Dreams of freedom, the man said. Dreams of peace, a second voice said from behind Gendo. Commander Ikari smiled as he looked at a picture of his deceased wife, Yui. Dreams of fulfillment. Gendo and his compatriots were a diverse group. All could lay claim to a title of divinity, but alas, they had their roles to play. True instrumentality is just around the corner, gentlemen, one of a multiversal scale. Faces were being stuffed. In Central Dogma's cafeteria, Goku, Vegeta, Luffy, and Naruto were pigging out, all while Sasuke sat to the side eating slowly. Shinji stood there holding only his wrapped bento. He was apprehensive at first, but Misato had believed it would be better for him to get to know them. After all, they had all been through something rather traumatic together, and trauma always served as a glue that held people together. The harder the times, the harder we clung to people who helped us survive them. It brought peace of mind. But as he stood there, he was unsure of whether or not he should actually sit down. Sasuke bid him to sit beside him, and Shinji agreed. So you're the one who killed that large creature? Sasuke asked. Yes. Such a short response. Short and unsure. But no response could ever capture Shinji more than that. Sasuke looked at the many people around them, all seeming to range from early 20s to mid-30s, possibly 40s. Aren't you a bit young to be fighting like that? Shinji shook his head. I pilot the Eva because I'm one of the few people who can. Except for Rei and Asuka. There are others like you? Goku exclaimed in surprise. Are they as strong as you? Shinji shook his head. I'm not strong, Mr. San. Goku cocked his head a little before swallowing. Not from what I saw. You effortlessly broke through that angel's defenses and killed it when we couldn't do it. No, I agree, Kakarot. He doesn't seem that strong. It's obviously a gimmick. There's a secret to it. That shield, how did you break through it? Shinji thought for a moment. It seemed simple. I just matched my AT field to the angel and then eroded it. Luffy was stuffing his face. He could hardly pay attention at all. All this talk of Evas and AT fields was way over his head. What is an AT field? Sasuke asked. It's a psychic barrier formed by angels. Its frequency is different from angel to angel, but if matched, one can break through. Does it work like ki? Goku asked. Shinji thought about it. I don't know. Maybe? Chi is supposed to be a mythical energy inside all living things. So perhaps? Vegeta scoffed. Doesn't matter anymore. We're going back to our world as soon as we can. There we can find a real challenge based in strength, not gimmick. It was as if the moment he said that, the room blacked out and a red light came on. A siren began to wail through the cafeteria. Slowly, each group began to get up and leave. Shinji received a notification on his phone that he had to report to the EVA pen for deployment. His face turned pale. Sasuke noticed. What's happening? Shinji looked up. Unidentified flying object has entered the airspace of Tokyo 3. I've been requested to report for duty. Oh, should we help? Naruto asked. Sasuke shook his head. I don't think the commander of Nerve wishes for that. Naruto seemed upset by this, but he did realize that this wasn't his world and he had no right to force anyone to do anything different. Surely we can go watch though? Naruto asked. Shinji nodded. I'll talk to Miss Misato about getting you clearance, but for now I have to report for duty. The 5 of them were brought into Central Dogma's war room. Goku was amazed by the ingenuity of humanity. Bulma would love this place, he shouted. Vegeta said nothing, but he did look around. He didn't wish to admit it, but the place was impressive. But there was a subtle darkness he felt. It reminded him too much of his time in the Frieza Force. Luffy was zipping around with his stretchy limbs. All the while, Gendo Ikari's brow twitched in annoyance, trying to ignore the group entirely. What's the status of this object? He asked. Hyuga below was typing up a storm on his computer. It's entered the vicinity of Tokyo 3. Cameras are picking it up now. Suddenly, the screen flashed to life to show a floating object not too unlike a diamond hovering in the sky. Hyuga continued. Blood pattern analysis has turned up blue. Confirmation, it's an angel. Go to alert status 1, Commander Ikari said. Be prepared to launch Evangelion Unit 1. Yes, sir. They continued typing, setting up the path the turbo lift would take to bring the EVA up. Shinji's camera popped up on the side of the screen. Misato began to speak. Shinji, are you ready for this? Shinji seemed nervous, but all the same, he gave off a smile and a thumbs up. I'm ready, Captain Katsuragi. Misato turned to the others. Deploy Unit 1. They activated the turbo lift. As it shot up, a new reading was detected from the angel. Whoa, energy spike, Hyuga said. Misato came to the computer and looked at it. Dr. Ritsuko Akagi looked at it from her terminal. Particle beam weaponry, she shouted. Misato looked up at the screen. Shinji, take cover. As soon as the lift rose to the surface, Shinji received the command. What? Suddenly, a building was completely melted as a beam of pure invisible light struck the chest of the EVA unit. Shinji cried out in agony, the nerve connections of the EVA not having had time to be cut. Naruto stood there, his mouth wide open in awe. Such a thing could have and would have destroyed Konoha if it had been present in his world. Misato began issuing commands, and suddenly a cover plate rose up from the ground to protect the Evangelion. Misato commanded that the lift be lowered. It took some time due to the fact that the railing had begun to melt, but thankfully the track was still soft enough to lower down. Misato walked back to the monitor. Shinji, status. There was no response. Shinji, what's your status? Once again, no response. Misato commanded that the inner plug camera be activated. As the video feedback began to play on the screen, it was obvious that Shinji was unconscious. Life signs negative. No pulse or respiratory signs detected. Paramedics on standby at docking bay 01. Misato turned back. Begin heart massage. Hyuga nodded. The plug suit began to send electrical discharge into his chest in an attempt to restart his heart. The plug was manually ejected by the Amagi computers. The LCL within the plug flooded out onto the floor as the pod opened. Shinji was pulled out by paramedics who checked him over. Pulse and respiration have returned, but he's still weak. He's still in critical condition. He needs an ER now. Misato commanded that he be loaded up and taken to Nerve HQ's medical wing. Naruto watched as they carted Shinji off from the control room, and all he could do was think about Boruto. Boruto was just a few years shy of Shinji's age. Naruto felt as if he were watching his own son being carted off. It was hard to watch. Naruto looked up at Gendo Ikari, whose expression hadn't changed. What is the status of the 5th angel? He asked. Analysts were gathering information. The angel has stopped over the center of Tokyo 3 and has deployed a diamond-headed drill. It's begun the process of digging up the geofront. Gendo stood. Keep me updated. He began to walk out. Fuyutsuki looked to him. What are your orders, Commander? Gendo looked back. Have Asuka and Rei prepared to take Shinji's place. Operational command is transferred to Captain Katsuragi. He then left. Captain Katsuragi and Dr. Akagi began to confer with one another on possible plans. Naruto walked through the hospital, finding the room for Shinji. He took a peek in and noticed that nobody was there. He would open the door and step through. He would walk to the strange metallic machine encasing Shinji. He looked in to see him comatose. Naruto would pull up a seat and sit down. He looked around, wondering where the boy's father was. Naruto was surprised that Gendo was nowhere to be seen. Frankly, he couldn't be upset at Commander Ikari. After all, Naruto knew what it was to be a leader. You couldn't always be where you wanted to be, especially in situations like this. Commander Ikari likely had to prioritize the defeat of the angel over visiting his son, where he could do nothing to help him heal. But that didn't seem to stop Naruto from being close by. He knew that the boy couldn't hear him through that box, and with his eyes closed, he couldn't see him either. But he hoped that, in some capacity, his presence might offer some comfort. It was then that the door behind him opened. He looked back, half expecting to see Captain Katsuragi or the commander, but instead, he saw Vegeta. Vegeta seemed a little startled at Naruto's presence, but all the same, he did not leave. He walked over to the box, arms crossed, and looked down into it. "How is he?" he asked bluntly. "I think he'll be fine," Naruto said. "He's a fighter." Vegeta scoffed. "He's weak." Naruto looked over. "He's survived a lot. He's fought beings we can't destroy on our own, and took a point-blank shot that would kill any other human. That seems pretty strong to me." Vegeta shook his head. "I don't mean in the physical sense. Physically, he's earned my respect, but the way he carries himself is disgusting to me. For someone with so much power, he lacks even a shred of pride." Naruto sat there and wanted to say something to the cruel Saiyan, but a certain glint in Vegeta's eye caught him off guard. "Why did you come here, Prince Vegeta?" Vegeta looked up. "I may hate the way he treats himself, but he's earned my respect." Naruto sat there for a moment. "Do you have any children, Vegeta?" Vegeta sat there for a moment. "I have two, Trunks and Bulla." Trunk? Naruto was about to contest the naming conventions and then remembered that he was named after a fish cake. He let it go. "I suppose the sight awakened paternal instincts in you as well then." Vegeta looked down into the box. "I've seen this sight too many times. My own son, Trunks, is a warrior like me. And while his strength mentally can lack, his determination and physical strength never fails." "This boy reminds you of your son?" Vegeta nodded. "When that blast began melting the chest plate of that metal monstrosity, it reminded me of a scene I hated remembering very much. A few years ago, in my world, we were forced to face a threat from the future, Perfect Cell. Through sacrifice, we believed we'd won, but the monster came back out of nowhere and shot a blast straight through my son's heart. I watched him hit the ground and writhe before expiring." "I'm sorry for your loss," Naruto said. Vegeta looked back. "Don't think he remains dead. He was revived with the power of my world's Dragon Balls." Naruto had no clue what he was talking about, but somehow, apparently, the boy did not perish, and so he simply left it at that. Vegeta looked down once more. "We're going to kill that angel." Naruto looked over. "But we've been ordered to stay away." Vegeta scoffs. "That tiny man cannot give orders to the Prince of all Saiyans. I will do as I wish, and if he plans to stop me, then he better hope that he's stronger than me." Vegeta stepped out of the room. Naruto was surprised by this encounter, but returned his gaze to the comatose warrior before him. "We'll protect your city in your stead. Rest up." The plan was simple. To destroy a particle beam weapon, one needed a particle beam weapon. Unit 2 and Unit 0 would take a sniper's position at a distance and fire a charged energy bolt just outside the creature's detection range. Anything within that range would be attacked, and everything outside of that range was ignored unless it fired first upon the angel. At this time, all of Japan's energy was being funneled into the weapon. It was decided that Asuka Soryu Langley, the pilot of Unit 2, would be the one to take the sniper position due to her higher synchronization rate, while Rei utilized a shield to protect her, should her first shot miss. For safety reasons, nobody was allowed on the mountaintop with the Evangelion units, and most of the on-site command was located on another nearby mountain, where they could aid if needed, but remained out of the line of fire. Captain Katsuragi kept her eyes peeled with binoculars on both EVA Unit 2 and 0, as well as Ramiel, the fifth angel. She checked her watch. It was midnight. "Begin Operation Yashima. Mark." Someone over the radio repeated to her, "Mark." Misato began issuing commands. "Begin funneling energy into the heavy particle cannon." She then contacted Asuka over the radio. "The computer will do all the calculations for you. Just aim once the reticule and target hitbox are aligned. Remember your training. Aim small, miss small." "I don't need you to tell me what to do. I'm not an idiot." Goku elbowed Vegeta. "If I didn't know any better, I'd think she was your daughter." Vegeta's face turned red as he turned to Goku. "Like I would have a daughter as annoying and disrespectful as her." "I heard that, you overgrown stalagmite," Asuka called out. "Where'd you get that hairdo from, a dripstone cave?" Vegeta grit his teeth. "She better be pretty damn good, because if she's not, I'll show her why pride and respect exist in a hierarchy of power." "First circuit status, green," Hyuga called over the radio. "Second and third circuit, in progress." Misato could almost see the energy sparking from these power lines. Every power station in Japan had funneled their energy right to this one place to unleash a blast that could pierce the AT field and destroy the Angel. The time was now. Second and third circuit status, green, charging main gun. Misato then contacted Asuka. Load the main fuse. Asuka would then pull back on a lever in the oversized sniper, loading a fuse into it. Fuse in place. Roger, Misato acknowledged. Main gun charging has begun. Begin viewfinding procedure. Hyuga then altered them. Warning, the Angel has begun charging its particle beam cannon. Asuka, how long until you can fire? Asuka was silent. She turned the radio off. Damn, I get it. Let me concentrate. She then saw the hitbox at the Angel's core. She brought the reticule over it, and once it was at the center, she let off a smile and pulled the trigger. A beam was fired at the Angel, but at that moment, the Angel fired a beam of its own at them. The two beams overlapped, causing both to miss their target. First shot was a miss, Hyuga informed Misato. She didn't have to be told. She watched it. She cursed. Asuka, begin cooling procedures and reload the main fuse. There was still no answer, but from what Misato could tell, Asuka had begun the procedures. Remiel charged again and let loose another shot. Rei stepped in the way using Evangelion Unit 0 as a shield. She raised the blast protective shield to defend herself. The blast began eating away at the shield as Asuka attempted to fire again. She lined up and then pulled the trigger a second time, but nothing happened. What? Hyuga looked at the diagnostics. The fuse is blown, he shouted. Asuka then reactivated her radio and screamed out, Ms. Misato, the fuse is a dud! If you get us killed, I'll never forget. Radio silence as the entire mountainside was blown away. Misato cried out, Rei! Asuka! Luffy popped his knuckles. That's it! I can't stand here and do nothing! He let out a whistle as the sunny began to rise over the side of the mountaintop. He took a radio and made his way to the flying ship. Hitting the deck, he began issuing orders. Frankie, take the helm! Usopp, get on the main gun! Prepare to fire! Are you crazy? Misato argued. You'll be completely annihilated. Your vessel doesn't have the power to even break through the AT field. I can't stand around and do nothing, Luffy said. Neither can I, responded Goku. I don't think your ship can break through the AT field, but I think I can. I need a chance though. Get me as close as possible. Draw its fire. Luffy nodded. Roger. He ordered the Sunny to begin entering the Angel's airspace. The Angel witnessed this attack coming, as well as Goku flying in from another angle. It had to prioritize Luffy, as his vessel was larger and therefore a more obvious threat. It fired one blast at the Sunny, knocking it from the air, causing it to fall down into the nearby lake. It then shifted its focus to Goku, who was incoming. It fired a shot at him and he barely dodged it, causing his cyan hair to get singed. Vegeta, in his Super Saiyan Blue evolved state, stood on a mountaintop and charged a final flash, all while Sasuke's perfect Susanoo, along with Naruto's help, formed Indra's arrow and fired it. The arrow struck the AT field and bounced off. Vegeta then fired his final flash, which managed to pierce the AT field entirely. However, the Angel shifted its shape to refract the blast in all directions. It took heavy damage from this attack, but its core, though now exposed, remained intact. Goku applied his Kaioken to his Super Saiyan Blue transformation for a boost of speed. Misato was shocked at how well the three groups were coordinating with each other. Luffy looked through a spyglass at the Angel and then handed it to Usopp. Its barrier's down. Do you see that red thing? Can you hit it from here? Usopp looked through the spyglass at it. Yes, I think I can hit that. He began to position the cannon. Goku flew through the air as the Angel charged a second shot to strike him with. Suddenly, a cannonball came out of nowhere and struck the Angel's core, causing a deep fissure to form in its surface. The Angel misfired, striking nothing but a barren mountain before the blast panned up into the heavens. Goku continued his approach. The Angel charged again and fired at the Sunny. Incoming! Zoro shouted. Luffy jumped from the deck and inflated himself before coating his bloated belly with armament haki. He took the blast head-on and protected his crew, but he was knocked into the lake, causing Zoro to jump in after him, knowing he couldn't swim. Goku was closing in. He was almost there. Suddenly, as he came to the surface of the Angel, he prepared to move inside and strike the core, but before he did, he sensed something back. He touched the core with his hand and felt fear. He pulled his hand back. Leave this city now and I won't kill you, he said to the Angel. It sat there for a moment in silence before suddenly it released a new AT field, stronger than before, designed to protect its core. It forced Goku out and then blasted him point blank with a particle beam shot. Goku flew back through multiple buildings before hitting the ground. Kakarot! Vegeta cried out. He began charging another final flash to fire at the Angel before he took a particle beam strike, devastating the whole mountaintop. Zoro was only just now rising above the surface of the water with an unconscious Luffy. Chopper reached out, attempting to take Luffy's hand to begin treatment of his wounds. Misato saw this. We've lost. We actually lost. Naruto and Sasuke watched from a distance, unsure if there was anything more that they could do. It was then that Kurama told Naruto to consider what this world meant to him, whether he was willing to do that to save it. Naruto considered it. "I don't think we have a choice, Kurama." Naruto stepped forward. Sasuke grabbed his shoulder. "What are you doing?" Naruto looked back. "What I have to." He stepped forward. "I will use Baryon mode." However, before Naruto could activate it, there was a bright flash in the vicinity of Tokyo 3. Misato pulled out her binoculars and witnessed Goku rising to his feet again. Goku ripped the remnants of his shirt off as an unusual aura surrounded him. Suddenly, his hair flashed from black to pure silver. "What's that?" Goku stood there and looked at the angel. The angel didn't even seem to notice him at first, but when it did, it began to fire its particle beam weapon at him. Goku was gone in that moment, appearing at the top of a building. The angel frantically began firing again. Goku then proceeded to jump from rooftop to rooftop, then back down to ground level where he dodged each blast before it came in with his mastered Ultra Instinct. As he dodged the blasts, he continued running, charging a Kamehameha in his hands. It launched a blast at him, and Goku jumped toward the angel, sliding up its energy blast with his own Kamehameha before doing a flip and releasing a blast. The blast was released with such force that the AT field began to falter under its power. Before they knew it, the field went down and the blast struck the angel's core, causing it to cry out with an intense angelic cacophony of agony. The core shattered, spilling out blood like LCL as the floating angel began to fall to the ground. Goku hovered there silently in the air, his silver eyes gazing down at the broken angel with seriousness and solemnity at having ended another life. Suddenly, a dark energy covered his body, causing Goku to cry out before he hit the ground. Misato watched from a distance. "Get paramedics out here, on the double," she shouted. Asuka and Rei were both healthy despite their EVAs having been nearly totaled. Vegeta was hurt but mostly okay due to the distance from which he had taken the blast. Luffy was already treated by Chopper, who deduced that he would make a full recovery. The one most in danger was Goku, who not only had taken a blast point blank, but had shattered his limits and transcended even the domain of the gods into something beyond. Naruto and Sasuke were in relatively fine shape. All wounded were transported back to Nerve HQ to be checked out by doctors. Goku was believed to take a while to heal, but Vegeta was up and out of bed almost immediately thereafter, claiming that it would take a lot more than that to put the Prince of All Saiyans out of commission. Asuka and Rei were stable. Their EVAs seemed to take the brunt of the attack, and the distance had limited how much damage they'd taken. Thankfully, they managed to cut nerve connections when they realized they were about to suffer worse than Shinji, which led to them surviving the near destruction of their units. Dr. Akagi immediately began work on repairing the EVA units, making sure that the biological parts within were still healthy and functional, while the R&D team and engineering worked on repairing the cybernetics. But there was good news. EVA Unit 1 and its pilot were now out of care. Shinji was resting at home and told to remain on standby in case another angel attack. Naruto and Sasuke returned to the cafeteria the day after. However, they were all alone this time, which they found to be tragic. Meals weren't as fun when you ate them alone. "Can you believe that this world is so dangerous?" Naruto asked. Sasuke nodded. "It's horrible, but it's part of this world. Remember that ours wasn't too different in the past. The Warring States period and each of the Shinobi World Wars saw the use of children as weapons and the usage of massive beasts in battle. To be honest, you remind me of Shinji a bit. 2 young children, both of whom were the only one capable of utilizing a massive monster in defense of a world they questioned that they should exist in." Naruto nodded. "Maybe that's why I feel drawn to him. I just sense that he's in a rough place in his life. I just want to help him." Sasuke finished Naruto's sentence with a smile. "I know, because that's so you, Naruto. You know where he's come from, and now you want to aid him, to help him out. You're not the only one." It was then that once again the base's alert signal was sounded. Naruto looked up. "Oh no, not again." Sasuke stood. "We should get to the control room. They may need us." They both began to make their way to the control room. Since their fight with Remiel, Nerve had taken notice of the strategic value of keeping this group of individuals around, and had decided to let them stay and help. When they walked into the room, the operations were already in progress. 2 unidentified bipedal objects are making their way toward Tokyo 3. Gendo Ikari then called down to them. "Can you get a reading on them yet?" Hyuga shook his head. "Blood pattern, orange. We cannot detect an AT field. It is unconfirmed." Commander Ikari sits there silently for a moment before speaking again. "Launch Evangelion Unit 1. Fuyutsuki looks to the commander. "But there are 2 targets. Will you send pilot Ikari in alone?" "What other choice do we have? If he's not comfortable with that, then switch control over to the dummy plug." Excuse me," Naruto called up to the commander. "Me and Sasuke were there during the fight with the 5th Angel. If you'd allow us, we'd be honored to aid Shinji and EVA Unit 1 in battle against this new threat." Commander Ikari looked down on the Hokage from his perch of the top floor of the control room. He raised his hand. "Do as you will. Naruto thanked the commander and made his way to the Eva pen where Shinji was hesitantly getting ready to board Unit 1. "Don't worry," Naruto said. "We'll be with you today." This brought a slight smile to Shinji's face. "Thank you." Shinji boarded the Eva and Sasuke and Naruto climbed upon its shoulder and held on as it ascended into Tokyo 3. As soon as they got up, they saw smoke or steam in the distance making its way through the city. "What is it?" Naruto asked. In the control room, they brought up a feed. "Visuals confirmed." Ikari looked closely at the two creatures depicted. One was very large, about the size of an Evangelion unit. The other was a bit smaller, coming up to maybe a fraction of the size. Hyuga continued to analyze them. Still blood pattern orange. No AT field detected. They don't even have a visible core. Dr. Akagi stood there and looked at them. Both were very human-like, with one even possessing a sharp jawline and hair, along with a football lineman's physique. The other one, far taller, also appeared fairly human, though not in the sense most would view it as. It possessed no skin covering its musculature or skeletal structure. "Sir, I don't believe these to be angels," she said to Commander Ikari. "Shinji, the status of these beings cannot be determined. Proceed with caution." "Yes, father," he said over the radio. Eva Unit 1 revealed its rifle. He saw them coming. They were unlike anything he'd ever seen before. It looked like no angel he'd ever seen, nor did it look like whatever was under the Eva unit's armor. It appeared human. He looked down and saw the smaller one. Looking to his shoulders, he began to wonder if it were possible that what he was looking at were strangely powered people from another world, like Naruto and Sasuke. He decided to activate his unit's speaker system. Naruto and Sasuke covered their ears. Shinji spoke. "If you can understand what I'm saying, then halt your movements." The two creatures stopped before them. Shinji was surprised. "So they can understand us," he thought to himself. He then issued another command. "If you can speak, then communicate your purpose for entering Tokyo 3. "Shinji, just fire," Commander Ikari ordered. "No, sir, I can't. They appear intelligent. They don't appear to be angels. They could be friendly." It was at that point that steam began to exit the neck of the massive beast. A man's head pulled free. He possessed dark hair and pale green eyes. "Excuse me, but do you know where we are?" he called out to them. Shinji lowered his rifle. The two people were brought into Nerve HQ for interrogation. It was established that the taller one was named Bertolt Hoover and the smaller one was named Reiner Braun. "Are you classified as angels?" Misato asked. Bertolt and Reiner looked at each other. "We don't even know what that is," Bertolt said. "We've been called devils before, but never angels," said Reiner. "We're known as Titans," Bertolt tacked on. Captain Katsuragi seemed to understand. "More interlopers from another world." "Great. You mean there are more like us?" Reiner asked. Katsuragi nodded. "One was blonde and the other's dark-haired." "Blonde?" Reiner asked. "Does he wear glasses?" Katsuragi shook her head. "No, he wears a cape that says 7th Hokage on the back." "What brings you here?" Misato asked. "We're searching for a friend of ours. His name is Zeke Yeager, and we have evidence that he might have come through here." Misato shook her head. "There's no record of a Zeke Yeager coming through here. If there were, I would have heard about it." The two seemed disappointed. Misato looked at them. "I assume you both came from another world, so I'll say it like this. We are currently attempting to figure out how to get another 3 groups of people just like you back to their own world, and we expect you to return to your world as well, but until then, you may stay here." Elsewhere, Gendo Ikari stood there in the darkness of his office as 2 shadows stood nearby. "This is an increasing problem," one said. The shadow possessed orange hair and a dark cloak. His eyes had spiraling rings moving up from the center. "Ever since the doors of Guff were opened, more people are coming through." Gendo nodded. "Trust me, your concerns are mirrored, Lord Pain, but I do not think it'll be a problem for much longer." "You don't think so?" another voice said. 2 devils like me have just come through your portals. This could complicate human instrumentality quite a bit, Commander." The man stepped into the light. Gendo looked to him. He was young, couldn't have been more than 19 years old, no more than 5 years older than Shinji. And yet, he possessed knowledge, wisdom, and cunning on par with a grown adult, such as Gendo himself. "Follow me, Lord Yeager," he said. Eren and Pain followed Gendo into an elevator that began to lead them down. Gendo swiped his ID card and chose a secret option. The elevator continued descending for what seemed like at least a half hour, until eventually it stopped, the floor number simply reading TD. The door opened and Gendo stepped out of the elevator. "This is the lowest point of the base," he said. "This is Terminal Dogma." He led them forward to find a massive creature crucified, a spear bulging from its chest. "This is the planetary seed code named Lilith. It's the source of Nerve's technology and the key to the 3rd impact, human instrumentality." "Eren," a 4th voice chimed in. Eren looked over to see Zeke Yeager chained before the creature. "Eren, what is this?" he attempted to say, though his jaws were bound to keep him from biting his own tongue. They could not risk allowing the Beast Titan to be released in this space near Lilith, but they couldn't risk having him locked away anywhere else. Eren paid him no mind. Gendo pointed to him and then spoke to Eren. "The other half of your required duo is already present. Now all we require is Adam. When Adam arrives, we can force a merger between him and Lilith, between you and Zeke, and finally between angels and titans. With this power, you can initiate the third impact and human instrumentality. You can access the anti-universe and the Golgotha object. Then the multiverse will be whatever you decide it to be." Eren looked at Gendo. "Yes, I will have my freedom, and Pain will have his peace, and you will have your fulfillment. But the question is, how will you get Adam here?" Gendo smiled, with a little ingenuity. "You see, it just so happened that the fuse on the particle cannon was blown. Because of that, EVA Unit 0 and 2 were destroyed. As we speak, another EVA unit is on its way here from America, and with it will come the fifth child, Kaworu Nagisa, the vessel for Adam. He's Seal's lapdog. Surely he'll attempt to initiate third impact on his own by searching for his former vessel." Gendo displayed a very small embryo in a case that possessed a tag that said First Angel Adam on it. "Nagisa will be led to believe Adam is down here, and when he eventually betrays us and attempts to break into Terminal Dogma, you will spring your trap and devour him, taking the spirit of Adam within yourself. Finally, we'll merge Zeke Yeager with Lilith, and then, when you two touch and form the founding Titan, you will possess the power to do as you desire." Pain looked to Gendo Ikari. "You truly have thought this out." Gendo smiled and pushed his glasses up his nose. "I am nothing if not meticulous. This is the hope of our greatest desires. To not show it proper attention would invite failure." Eren nodded. "Just be sure that those you're now harboring do not get in the way, or we will have to kill them." Gendo nodded. "Very few people even know of Terminal Dogma, let alone how to access it. I don't think anyone with basic clearance will ever learn of it." "You had better make sure that's so," Pain said, "because if our plans fail to come to fruition due to your failures, I will ensure that you witness a new world of pain." A fleet of helicopters carrying the Evangelion Unit number 3 were arriving just at sunset. The sun behind them made it seem as though they were approaching out of the flames of hell. Sasuke stood there, his eyes unmoving as they looked upon the massive mech. Naruto stood there. "I spoke with Captain Katsuragi. She informed me that the pilot of this unit, just like Shinji and the others, is only 14 years old. I wonder why they only recruit such young children to pilot these things," Sasuke asked. "I don't know. It seems that not even Captain Katsuragi knows." Naruto looked at Sasuke. "You know, we do the same thing in Konoha. It's not like we've got room to judge. But you do sense something's off. In Konoha, we allow children to fight in wars according to their skill level, but they always fight alongside adults. I haven't seen one adult pilot one of these things." Naruto nodded. Sasuke spoke again. "I've got a bad feeling about this." "A bad feeling?" Naruto asked. "Something isn't right here." EVA Units 0 and 2 were finally back in the EVA pen. Rei and Asuka were standing there, watching as the units were finally submerged. Shinji skulked in from behind them and watched as well. He wasn't here to see Units 2 and 0 though. He was here to see 3. It was at about this time that the lift from the surface came down slowly. It came to a stop as it was loaded up and taken to its own particular bay parallel to Units 2 and 0. "Wow, it looks just like Unit 01, Shinji said with a bit of cheer. "Yeah, looks like Unit 1 if it had its unicorn horns sawed off and was colored dark blue. It looks like every EVA unit, genius." Asuka scoffed as Shinji was sufficiently beat back down. Vegeta, who had been watching this from above, stared down, fighting a smile. Honestly, he couldn't stand the disrespect of this girl, but she had something Shinji did not, and that was pride. Maybe Shinji should take a note from her. Maybe grow a spine behind all that power. Learn to walk like a man instead of weeping behind the eyes all the time like a child. It was at about that time that Captain Katsuragi appeared. "Shinji, Rei, Asuka?" Asuka was already peeved from how her name had come last in the list of the three of them. "Yes, Captain Katsuragi," Shinji and Rei both asked. "I'd like to introduce you to the new pilot of EVA Unit number 3. Here is Kaworu Nagisa." A silver-haired boy stepped forward and stood before the three of them. "It's a pleasure." The moment Vegeta saw him, an electric charge rushed up his back. There was a feeling in him that he hadn't felt before. No, wait, there was. There was a time he had felt this. It was back in his own world when he first witnessed Beerus and his attendant Whis. Vegeta suddenly noticed that the young man, Nagisa, had turned his gaze up at Vegeta. as if somehow knowing that the Saiyan prince was there, as if somehow knowing that his presence had startled him. "Is something the matter, Kaworu?" Katsuragi asked. "No, ma'am. I was simply daydreaming. I can't keep my head on to save my life," he said with a smile. Katsuragi smiled. "Well, allow me to show you to your quarters. Is there anything you think you might need?" she asked. Kaworu thought about it. "Despite my age, I'm a bit of a biblio and a musicophile. If you have any of the greats such as Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, or Joyce, I'd be glad." Katsuragi smiled. "I'll ask the local library." Once more, Nagisa glanced up at Vegeta. There had seldom been a time since Frieza that a person that looked at Vegeta in such a condescending way. And yet, despite that, the same feeling he got from Frieza all of those years ago, that same feeling was emanating from this whelp. "I don't suppose you might tell me where I might practice my piano skills? Tokyo 3 First Municipal Junior High has a music class. I'm sure they would love to have you." As they left the Evangelion launching bay, Vegeta began to realize that he had squeezed the rail so hard that he had utterly disfigured it. Upon noticing this, he began to scowl. "I don't know who this bastard is, but I hate him." Goku awoke in the medical bay all alone. As he sat up, he felt as though his body might give out. He felt all out of shape. Attempting to do anything strenuous was taxing on him, and the moment he even dared utilize his ki in any way, he found it to be quite the dud. "Darn it," Goku said. "This must be that delayed... He tried to remember what it was that King Kai had called this. "Whatever it is, it means my ki muscles are too tired to use ki," he said. Sitting there with a sigh, he spoke. "Oh well, might as well try and get some grub." Discharging himself, Dr. Akagi attempted to stop him. "Son Goku, you've taken a high-powered particle beam weapon point blank. You need to rest. Your body is riddled with radiation." "What's radiation?" he asked. "Radiation is the emission or transmission of energy in the form of waves or particles through space or a material medium." Goku smiled. "Oh, you mean ki? I got hit with a ki blast. That's okay. I get hit with those all the time. No biggie. Right now, my only worry is what the cafeteria is serving." He pushed right past her with a giggle and began making his way to the cafeteria. In the cafeteria, Reiner Braun and Bertolt Hoover sat. "That portal over Shiganshina, it brought us here," Bertolt said. "Hopefully it's the same place it brought the chief," Reiner said. "If not here, then where?" "I don't know. It could have been anywhere. No guarantee this is the only world connected to that portal," Reiner said. "Do you remember coming through the portal?" he asked. Bertolt shook his head. Reiner looked down. "I saw 4 great beings, larger than a titan, larger than you. They loomed over us and looked down on us, and I felt powerless, helpless in front of them. You saw them too. You even commented on it that you thought they had to be gods." "I don't remember that," Bertolt said. Reiner shook his head, "And maybe that's for the best." It was at about that time that Goku appeared. He saw Reiner and Bertolt and walked over and sat down with his massive tray of food. Reiner and Bertolt were astonished that a man could even attempt to eat something like that, but not only did Goku attempt it, he succeeded. And it had to be a record time, too. Goku let out a sigh of pleasure and pat his stomach. He then looked at the two sitting before him. "So, tell me, who are you two?" Bertolt looked to Reiner as if awaiting orders. Reiner spoke. "I'm Reiner Braun, and here is my friend Bertolt." Goku smiled. "Nice to meet you. Now onto the real question." Goku's face suddenly took on a serious expression. "Are you strong?" Reiner scoffed. "Strong? Where I'm from, they call my compatriot here a god of destruction." Goku's eyes lit up. "Like Lord Beerus? You're your universe's god of destruction? You must be strong." Bertolt seemed startled. Not that strong. I heard you tanked that thing outside all by yourself." He was referring to the Angel Ramiel. Goku pulled himself back to try to humble himself. "Well, I wouldn't say I took it out all by myself. Vegeta was there, and so was Naruto and Saucepan. And then there was Luffy and his crew." Reiner and Bertolt were lost. "It seems we've got a lot to catch up on," they said. "Good. You can begin by reading this," Captain Katsuragi said as she brought them a fairly large file to look over. "It contains everything you need to know, and only what you need to know." The two looked over. "So that's what an angel is," Bertolt said. Reiner shook his head. "Not anything like the angels I read about," Reiner said. "They want to destroy your people?" he asked. Misato nodded. "They're a dangerous foe. They don't seem capable of communication, and they single-mindedly follow a single goal, no matter what." "And what is their goal?" Bertolt asked. Katsuragi shook her head. "Not sure. It seems like it's the destruction of this base," she said. "Why do they want that if their goal is to destroy humanity as a whole?" "Why target only you?" Bertolt asked. "We assume it's because we're their greatest threat, but honestly speaking, we don't know very much about angels. Honestly, it'll be a better place when we're just done with them." Reiner and Bertolt looked down at the file, though it was obvious that they weren't reading it. They needed somewhere to put their slightly offended faces while they thought. This world wasn't too far removed from theirs. Giant machines made from biological matter, where a pilot could control it from a plug in the nape of the neck, and giant animalistic monsters that were considered a nuisance and a destroyer of worlds, despite only ever really attacking one place. "Would you like to help us fight these things as well?" Katsuragi asked. "If so, I'm sure the commander would gladly like to add you into—" Reiner raised his hand to stop her. "We're not really interested, considering that I can hardly understand what a lot of this says, like what an AT field even is. I highly doubt will be of much use. We'll likely only get in your way. For now, all we seek is our friend, Zeke Yeager. We're looking for him and a way back to our own world, so if it's all the same to you, I think we'll hang back and—" Suddenly, these sirens begin to go off, signaling an emergency. Misato's phone went off and she looked to Goku. "Angel." Reiner and Bertolt looked at each other before looking back to Misato. They both got up and began to follow her, as did Goku. Entering the main command room of Central Dogma, they saw Gendo enter the room and sit down behind his desk. "Status report," he demanded. "Blood pattern blue," Hyuga called up from below. "Scans indicate that it's an angel." Another of the analysts spoke. "Video feed incoming." It came up on the screen. Fuyutsuki spoke. "Looks like we have confirmation. It's an angel." He looked to Gendo. "What is the status of Eva Units 0, 2, and 3? Hugo looked through the data before him. "It says they're primed to go." Gendo smiled. "Fine. Tell Rei, Asuka, and Nagisa to suit up. I wish to see the fifth child in action myself." "As you command." Goku stood there. He saw the angel coming and was amazed. He could almost feel the power coming off of it. He could tell just by looking at it that it was stronger than anything they had faced to that point. He was saddened by the fact that he'd be unable to fight it at the current moment. Above the geofront, Vegeta stood. He saw the angel on its approach toward the city. To his left and right side, he heard the sound of alarms blaring. 3 chutes opened up. 2 on his left, 1 on his right. From the right came Unit 0, while on the left was Units 2 and 3. As Unit 3 stepped off its platform, it looked up at Vegeta. Vegeta knew it had to be Nagisa. The 3rd unit made a finger gun gesture at Vegeta, drawing further ire from the Saiyan Prince before stepping forward. Units 2 and 0 were presented pallet rifles, which they took up, and Unit 3 was presented with a bazooka. Vegeta watched as they got prepared. All the while, his eye returned to the angel drawing closer. As Gendo Ikari in the control room viewed it, he easily identified it as Israfel. This angel was unique among its brethren for reasons they would soon find out. Nagisa walked past Vegeta in his unit and spoke over his PA system. "You better get somewhere else, little fella, before you get hurt." Vegeta was shocked. "Little fella?" His anger caused him to pop into Super Saiyan form. It was then that he felt a hand on his shoulder. Looking back, he saw Sasuke. "Let it go, Vegeta." "Let it go? Ever since this twerp's got here, he's done nothing but challenge my pride. I'll be the end of him, if it's the last thing I do." "He has an important job right now. Allow him to finish it." "I'll do it myself if I have to," Vegeta said. "I'm about to rip the plug right out of his robot." Naruto then stepped up. "It's okay, Vegeta. Don't let him get to you. He's a 14-year-old with half the power of a regular adult, let alone a Super Saiyan like you. You have nothing to prove. Don't let him force you to soil your honor by making you respond to him in such a way. You're above him. You're better than him. Let him think what he wants now. One day you'll get your chance to prove him wrong." Vegeta let out a sigh. "Fine." As everyone reached their positions, they sounded off. "Unit 2, in position. Unit 0, in position. Unit 3, in position." Misato, from below, spoke to all 3 pilots. "All right, remember the plan. Asuka and Rei, you 2 will fire your pallet rifles. Bring the AT field down. Then Kaworu, use your bazooka to take out the core. If executed properly, this should be easy. Begin operation now." And with that, the group began the operation. Asuka and Rei lined up the target box with the reticule and fired. The bullet struck against the AT field relentlessly. Despite this angel possessing a greater AT field than previously seen, the continual barrage of weaponry was enough to drain it of energy. "AT field is down. I repeat, AT field is down," Hyuga shouted. "Now's the time, Kaworu," Misato said. Kaworu smiled. He pulled the trigger. The missile carrying the explosive ordnance left the barrel and flew straight into the red core. For a moment, a massive crack formed, running vertically down the center of the core. But before it could break apart, the 2 halves formed new cores, with the being split in 2. With Central Dogma, Gendo smiled. This angel wasn't a single angel, but 2. Down below, Goku gawked. "Whoa, there's 2 angels now. This reminds me of when Kami and Piccolo split, or when Vegeta and I split after fusing." The analysts were in disarray, working quickly to identify the new angel and check its strength. Despite splitting in two, the strength of both angels only rose. And that wasn't it. The internal alarm began to go off. "A third signature's been detected," Alba shouted. Ibuki then spoke. "Blood pattern blue. It's another angel." Fuyutsuki was astonished. "The angels are coordinating with each other?" "Indeed," Gendo said. "This is a two-pronged attack." He then identified the newest angel coming from the opposite direction as the twins Israfel and Zeruel. Goku looked at the third angel on the battlefield. "Whoa, look at him! He's adorable, and he's got toilet paper for hands." Misato then spoke. "Someone get Shinji on the line. Get him into Unit 1. That was when Kaworu spoke. "No, don't worry about it. I have this. Have Ayanami and Soryu handle the third threat. I got these two." "This is no time to play hero, Nagisa," Misato said. Kaworu looked into the camera. "This is a test, isn't it, Commander Ikari? Well, let me take the test." Gendo then held out his hand. "Operational command is transferred to pilot Nagisa." "What?" Misato questioned. "You can't be serious. What kind of fool decision is that?" she demanded. Ritsuko turned around and put her hand on Misato's shoulder. "Don't question the commander, Misato. No, what you're doing is putting the lives of these children in danger. He's untested and unvetted. You can't transfer full operational command over to a 14-year-old. This is insane." Gendo then spoke. "Security, please remove Captain Katsuragi from the command room." Two armed guards walked up. "Please, come with us, ma'am," they said, offering a hand to her. She glared up at Commander Ikari for a moment before pushing past the guards and leaving on her own. Gendo then spoke. "Continue operation." Asuka groaned. "Never gave me operational command." In accordance with his orders, Asuka and Rei made their way off to hold off Zeruel, while Kaworu slowly made his way toward Israfel's red and blue halves. Kaworu took a deep breath of the LCL that had flooded the inside of his plug. Suddenly, the computers in the command center began to show a spike on the Pilot EVA interface. "What's going on?" Fuyutsuki asked, as if he already didn't know. Dr. Akagi spoke. "Amazing," she said. "Nagisa's sync rate with his EVA unit is skyrocketing. 110, 120, 140. She watched the number go up. 240%! We've never recorded a synchronization rate even close to that high." Gendo smiled as he looked over his clasped hands. "We've won." In a mad dash, Unit 3 put his hands forward and effortlessly ripped apart the AT fields of both halves of Israfel before pulling out two prog knives from its shoulder plates. Spinning around, just as the two angels began to turn to face him, Kaworu shoved both blades into the core. He then proceeds to smash the blades deeper, shattering them before rushing off. Asuka and Rei are fighting to stop Zeruel from breaking past them, but are getting shredded to pieces by its sharp arms. They look back after they hear an explosion to see the two light pillars of the angels rising from the ground as Kaworu is seen running straight at them. They only have enough time to get out of the way as Kaworu pushes past them and blitzes right through the AT field. "How did he do that?" Asuka asks in awe. Rei's eyes simply narrow at him a bit. Kaworu manages to get close to Zeruel, and with nothing more than his bare hands, smashes the core until it begins to crack. "Forgive me for this, old boy," he says before he smashes through the core, killing the angel. He then flips back off the angel as it explodes. Vegeta stands there in awe of how effortless this was. Nagisa stood above the rest in power and strength. From there, Nagisa looks to Vegeta and offers a bow, as if somehow finishing a show for him. Gendo smiles. "Get them back down here," he said. As soon as the pilots were removed from their mechs, Kaworu was treated like some sort of celebrity, much to the chagrin of Asuka. But as he was treated well for what he had done, the Prince of Saiyans appeared. "You!" he shouted. Kaworu turned to see Vegeta headed in his direction. "Now Vegeta, wait!" Naruto and Sasuke said as Vegeta broke past them. "Vegeta!" Goku called out. Vegeta ignored them all. He pushed Kaworu back, out of the crowd. "I don't know what you are, but whatever you are, you're dead if you think you can treat me like trash." Vegeta reared his hand back into a fist. "No, wait, Vegeta!" Goku cried out as he rushed towards him. Vegeta pushes his fist forward to strike Kaworu. However, Kaworu merely raises his hand and catches it with a simple smile. Vegeta is shocked by this turn of events. This boy had no discernible power level, yet he could so easily catch his hand. Goku stopped in shock. "You know, there are other powers besides only ki and muscles," Kaworu said. "What are you?" Vegeta demanded to know. "Allow me to show you," he said. Touching his finger to the Saiyan Prince's forehead, he answered Vegeta's question. For Vegeta, it was as if all of the history of not only this universe, but every universe were forced through his brain at speeds beyond the ability to process. He saw it for a split second, that thing he had witnessed while passing through the portal. He saw it. He saw the massive figures of light, their eyes glowing white. He had forgotten them, but now he remembered, and it hurt. It hurt so much. Vegeta fell back. Naruto and Sasuke ran over to help Vegeta up. Whoa, he's out cold. What did you do? Naruto asked. Kaworu smiled. Just a self-defense technique I learned back in the United States. It's a form of pressure point attack. He'll be okay, I assure you. He just needs time to rest. He'll probably wake up with a nasty headache, but he'll be okay. Kaworu then looked at Goku, whose face showed more of a stern expression than he had shown through the whole battle. He knew Vegeta, and he knew pressure points. This boy had just lied to Naruto and Sasuke. He was hiding a secret strength, and whatever it was, Goku knew it wasn't going to be used for good. Due to Vegeta attempting to publicly assault a teenager, he was placed under arrest, though Goku warned them that when Vegeta awakened, they would be unable to hold him. That being said, it seemed as though he'd be asleep for a bit longer. By this time, Goku's strength was beginning to come back. He met with Luffy in the cafeteria. "Hey, look at you," Goku said. "Looks like you've recovered well." Luffy smiled. "Me? What about you? You took one of those laser beams straight to the face and walked away with barely a scratch on ya." Goku scratched the back of his head awkwardly as he chuckled. He pulled up a seat and sat down. "So, did you see the battle today?" Goku asked. Luffy nodded. "I saw it from the sunny. That dark giant absolutely trashed those big things. It was awesome." Goku laughed, and then his face turned serious. "Something seems off." "What do you mean?" Luffy asked. "That Kawasaki kid with the white hair. He caught Vegeta's fist today. Now I know how strong Vegeta is, and I know when he is or isn't holding back, and the attack he threw today would have killed any other human. That boy caught it as if it were nothing." "Well, what does that mean?" Luffy asked. Goku shook his head. "It means he's stronger than he's showing us, and he's lying about it too." As everyone was settling down from the battle, and as the night was wearing out, Kaworu entered the EVA hangar where Units 0, 1, 2, and 3 were. He walked to Unit 1. It was different from the others. That much he knew. No matter what he tried, he couldn't synchronize with it. Not like he could with the other EVA units. "Ah, you're the progeny of Lilith, aren't you?" Kaworu asked, as he looked at the mech, expecting it to answer. And to be honest, maybe it did. There was a low-pitched grumble and a hiss. He popped his neck as he sighed. Well, time to start the show. The entire base shook, from the cafeteria to the command center. "What's going on?" Captain Katsuragi asked. Ibuki looked at her computer. "It says that Units 0, 2, and 3 have activated." "What? Where's Rei and Asuka?" she demanded. "They're already clocked out. They're at their apartments." "And Nagisa?" she said. "It says his card is in the hangar. See if you can get a visual." They brought up the feed. They were amazed by what they saw. Kaworu was hovering in the air, giving off a soft light. Above his head was a small, thin halo. And by his command, all 3 EVA units were moving. Right now, they were sabotaging the launch equipment for Evangelion Unit 1. "Analysis is in," Aoba said. "It's blood pattern blue." Katsuragi was surprised. You mean Nagisa is an angel?" Gendo, from his vantage point, called down. "The 5th child is now declared an angel. Lethal force is authorized. Bring him down at any cost." Gendo stood. "Operational command is passed to Major Katsuragi." "Major?" Misato asked. Gendo looked back at her. "Congratulations." He then stepped out of the room. Not that it'll do her much good. He pulled out his cell phone and called the number on it. "It's me. He's on the way. Get ready." Gendo then pulled an orange clear box from his pocket. It read upon the top, "Key of Nebuchadnezzar" upon it. Major Katsuragi had called all hands to battle station. Kaworu offered a bit of a sorrowful expression as he held out his hand. The area about the soldiers exploded. As he hovered past the bodies of the dead soldiers, he stopped for but a moment to gaze down at them solemnly before moving ahead. The EVAs began to tear through walls. Once they did, they made their way to the central shaft and began to descend lower into the deepest part of the base, Terminal Dogma. At this time, Shinji was called back in. It was unknown why Kaworu had not taken control of Unit 1, but it was assumed if it was sabotaged, then it was likely because Kaworu took it as a threat. So Shinji loaded up into his Evangelion and prepared for launch. The crews began working on unjamming the unit. Goku at this time had found Vegeta in his cell and managed to get inside. "Vegeta," he said as he shook him a bit. "Vegeta!" He proceeded to slap him in the face, bringing him back to his senses. Kakarot, what's going on?" "Come on, I'll explain on the way." Misato at this time was talking to Reiner and Bertolt. "Please, I need you to try and help us. You don't understand what's at stake here. If an angel reaches Terminal Dogma, it's the end for everyone." "What do you have down there that's so dangerous?" Bertolt asked. Akagi then spoke. "Something very important. And if an angel gets a hold of it, what happened in the Antarctic will happen again, worldwide, resulting in the demise of every living being on the planet." Reiner and Bertolt looked at each other and seemed to converse without speaking. Reiner then nodded. "Show us where to go." Outside, Luffy boarded his vessel, the Sunny. "Is everything ready?" he asked. Ready as it'll ever be, Frankie said. Then lift off. We gotta help however we can. Naruto and Sasuke were already running down the corridors toward the main shaft. They reached the edge and looked down. They couldn't see Kaworu anymore, but they knew he was down there. Naruto looked to Sasuke. Are you ready? Sasuke nodded. The two then jumped down as well. As Kaworu reached the bottom of the shaft, he found two large doors labeled TD. He knew that this is where he was to go. After all, the old men of Seal had told him where he could find his own body. In exchange for being reunited with his body, he'd perform for them the third impact. To be honest, during the time he had lived among the Lilin, he had grown a bit attached, and had hoped that the two races, angel and human, could coexist, but it seemed that the secret leaders of this world wanted more. They craved indestructible bodies and a connection that would never go away. They wished to become what they fallaciously believed to be a perfect being. As Kaworu stood there, he reflected upon his own nature, how he had since long time past been known as a god, but in truth he was not. He was nothing more than a single life form that truly understood itself and understood others, no different from the Lilin, who, despite not classifying as such, were themselves considered angels due to their own connection to his kind. There was less than 1% difference in the DNA separating the Lilin from the angels they had been killing, and it seemed that the world now knew that. They wanted to become something more, and as per the agreement, he would make it so. But first, he needed to merge with his own body, as Gendo Ikari had told him to do. The door opened and Kaworu hovered through, bringing his Evas with him. He stopped cold though as he looked upon the figure speared and bound. This isn't my body, he said. This is Lilith. Then what? Before he could say anything more, a group of strange animals, a multi-headed dog and a centipede, appeared from nowhere to attack Units 0 and 2. As for the third, a massive statue that appeared to be made of wood attacked it. Kaworu sensed a massive spiritual energy from this statue. It was then that missiles struck the Evas. Kaworu turned to spot 6 individuals standing there. Suddenly, Kaworu was pushed back by an invisible force that he could not see. It was then that a man drew near. Kaworu, he said. Tabris. The man knelt down. Adam. The voice spoke. Ikari? Kaworu asked as he looked up. His eyes widened as he saw that the man was not who he had been. Gendo, what have you done? Kaworu asked. I've transcended the limits of humanity into something resembling a god. Did you think you were the only way for man to become a deity? He raised Kaworu up with his own telekinetic power and began to drag him over. With a wave of his hand, Gendo discarded the 3 Eva units as if they were trash. Looking at the chains where Zeke once was, now empty, he spoke. Speaking to my fellow gods, it's now time for us to complete our... It was then that the others appeared. Naruto gasped when he saw what he did. Nagato? The 6 paths of pain turned to look at Naruto. A little bit older than the Naruto I know. Stronger as well, but this matters little. You've already lost. Peace is already at hand. Peace? Naruto asked. What peace? The kind that brings with it fulfillment, Gendo said. Fulfillment, and... At that moment, emerging from the pool of LCL below Lilith was the Attack Titan. Freedom. The Attack Titan reached out, grabbed Kaworu, and bit into him, devouring him, much to the horror of all around. Reiner and Bertolt were shocked. Reiner drew closer. Eren? The Attack Titan looked down upon Reiner with disdain. He had once hated Reiner. Hated him for something Reiner had yet to tell the Eren of this world. But now, Eren understood. He understood the need for freedom, and the lengths one had to go to attain it. They were the same. Just 2 ordinary men in extraordinary positions, and now Eren was going to finish what he started. Goku and Vegeta, in their Super Saiyan Blue transformations, rocketed through the shaft and came to a stop as Eren drew closer to his target. Also rising from the pool of LCL behind was a new EVA unit, one that had not been on record, Unit 13. It appeared very similar to Evangelion Unit 1, but this one possessed 4 arms as opposed to 2. Gendo rose into the air and began to hover toward it. Lord Pain, I ask that you please offer adequate distraction to these while Lord Eren and I finish what we started. The Diva Path looked back. As you wish, Lord Gendo. Eren! Reiner shouted as he bit his hand. He turned into the Armored Titan and jumped into the pool of LCL to chase after Eren. Stop, Eren! He shouted as he reached out to grab him. However, the hand of the far larger EVA Unit 13 gripped Reiner and threw him against the wall. Eren stopped for one moment and looked back at Reiner before continuing. It reached up and touched Lilith, whom Zeke had already been merged with. And now, as the large figure merged with Eren as well, something happened. A glow began to cover the Attack Titan as a bolt of golden lightning mixed with an angelic light struck him. He had completed it, both the Founding Titan and the First Angel. The Founding Angel. A titan almost like his attack titan, though larger and pure white, began to grow. At the center of its chest was a red glowing orb. It began to ascend up through the ceiling of Terminal Dogma, decimating all in its path until it reached the surface. The group made to chase after, but stopped when pain got in the way. "Nagato, get out of our way! It doesn't have to be like this!" No, Naruto, it always had to be this way. The six paths entered the battle. As the Thousand Sunny sailed through the skies, it saw a white light shoot up from the center of the city. "What's that?" Zoro asked. Luffy, standing on the figurehead of the Sunny, spoke. "It looks like a naked guy," he shouted. The Angel Titan hybrid rose into the air, EVA Unit 13 by its side. Above them in the skies, a portal not unlike the one that brought them here opened. "Should we follow them?" Frankie asked. Luffy looked down into the hole they ascended from, wondering where the others were. As the battle continued, the paths of pain, their animal summons, and even the immense strength of the Geto statue were lined against Goku, Vegeta, Naruto, Sasuke, and Bertolt. "It was easier when I last fought him," Naruto said as he tried to catch his breath. "Even my six-path sage mode is having issues." "This is a strange world," Sasuke said. "It could be either a stronger pain from another world, or perhaps this pain has been supplemented by something else." "The scale's all gone to hell," Vegeta said as he and Goku tried to get hold of the Geto statue. "Whatever those strange beings were in that other dimension that brought us here, they must have done something to weaken us." He was then punched across the room by the Geto statue, leaving a crater. Goku powered up to Kaioken times 20 on top of his blue form and prepared a Kamehameha. As the Kamehameha hit the Geto statue, it pushed it back. Sasuke, with his perfect Susanoo, would also push. Naruto continued trying to fight the six paths of pain as Reiner was finally back on his feet, headed toward them. Bertolt was just standing there, unsure of what to do. There was enough room for him to transform now, but the blast of such a transformation, especially in such a compact area, could hurt his friends. And considering the size of Eren in that new metal behemoth, he thought he might be needed elsewhere. Goku and Vegeta were now attempting to deal with the Animal Path summons. It was then that something large landed from above into the LCL pool below. Bertolt looked up to see a machine not too unlike Unit 13 standing there. It was EVA Unit 1. "Shinji, what's going on down there?" Misato asked over the comms. "I don't know, Miss Misato, but Terminal Dogma is empty. Units 0, 2, and 3 are currently underwater, and Kaworu is nowhere to be seen. The others are in the middle of a battle with an unknown combatant. Moving to assist." Shinji would then walk over and grip the Geto statue's hand and pull it into the LCL with him, giving Sasuke enough space to help Naruto. Goku and Vegeta were beginning to rein in the Animal Path summons. The Centipede was mortally wounded and also thrown into the LCL, as the Cerberus would be evaporated by a final flash that exited Terminal Dogma and pierced through the Geofront, coming out of the nearby mountain. From here, the tables were turned against Pain, who saw each of his paths fail. Diva was the last to go down, with Naruto coming in with her Rasengan to finish it off. "Way to go! You defeated that orange-haired guy," Goku shouted. "Not actually," Sasuke said as his Susanoo vanished into thin air. "There's a seventh path around here somewhere, and at the current moment, I doubt he'll be an issue. The real threat is what just went off up there. That Titan and Eva just tore a hole through the roof and flew off. How are we gonna get up there?" "How you get up there doesn't matter," Vegeta said. "I know how I'm getting up there, and don't bother following me. I'll handle it." Vegeta, in his blue form, then took off after Gendo and Eren. "Wait up, Vegeta," Goku said. He then took off. "Well, that's all well and good, but how are we supposed to get up there?" Reiner asked, pulling out of his Titan. "Does somebody need a ride?" Luffy asked as the Thousand Sunny lowered down into the LCL below. Sanji and Zoro put down a long plank to help everyone get on. "All aboard who's coming aboard," Sanji said. "You guys go on without me," Shinji said. "I'll figure out a way to get up there soon." Reiner, climbing down, walked over to Bertolt. "I'm glad you saved your energy. You're gonna need every ounce of it soon." Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other and also boarded the vessel. With everyone now on board, they prepared to take off. "Helmsman!" Luffy shouted to Frankie. "Full speed ahead!" "You got it, boss," Frankie said. With the pull of a lever, the entire ship launched forward, taking to the air again and flying up through the hole like a rocket, all while helicopters were lowering down, bringing some new experimental flight gear and battery to EVA Unit 1. "There's no guarantee that the battery will work, Shinji," Dr. Akagi said. "It's an attempt to recreate an S2 engine." "What's the likelihood this one blows up on our face like the one in America did?" Major Katsuragi asked. It's very possible." Shinji overheard everything. "Just please, hurry," he said. The ship passed through the Geofront and into the skies above Tokyo 3. They would see the hole opened above them, and from within there were lights and explosions. "Looks like the battle's already started," Sasuke shouted, trying to be heard over the sheer force of the wind in their face. The ship passed through the doors of Guff into the anti-universe, where they had once passed to be brought into the world they were currently in. Inside, they saw Eren still single-mindedly making his way toward the strange monolith known as the Golgotha object. Goku was trying to slow him down, but none of his attacks could break through the AT field. All the while, Vegeta was trying to hold off Gendo. "Where's your AT field, Mr. Angel?" Vegeta asked in a taunting manner. Gendo spoke. "I'm a god, and gods have no barriers. We accept everything that comes our way." "You're going to regret that then," Vegeta shouted as he flew toward Unit 13, blasting away. Unit 13, carrying both Spears of Longinus in its 4 arms, released a barrage of missiles at Vegeta. What Gendo hadn't told Eren was that the Spears of Longinus were the only things able to pierce an AT field, regardless of size or strength. Gendo had needed Eren to get here, but he by no means was actually planning to allow Eren to transform all of humanity into Titans and Angel hybrids. No. Gendo desired a world where there were no angels and titans, no Evas, only instrumentality. He desired a world where all souls would be united together, both living and dead, within a paradise where there was no death, where there were no misunderstandings, where everything secret, where everything thought, where all things there were to know about you could be known by all and vice versa, where he would reach perfection through the connection of other lives. Unlike the geezers of Seal who sought only immortal bodies that could never be destroyed, he sought only a world where everything was as it should be. A world without titans, without angels, without Saiyans, ninjas, pirates. A world common, a world boring, a world safe and expected. A perfect world. And now he would have it. Batting Vegeta away, Gendo turned around and triangulated Eren's core. He threw his spear at Eren. It struck his AT field and began to pierce through. Eventually it did, and as it passed through space, Eren simply reached out and grabbed it out of the air. This surprised Gendo, who had no idea what Eren was capable of. "This is the true power of the Titans, the power of the founding angel." Eren's angel turned its eyes to Unit 13, and with a single glint, Gendo's Titan was filled with an energy that somehow overloaded the capacity of its S2 engine. "Impossible," he said. "The S2 engine is supposed to be capable of infinite energy. How can he fill it past capacity?" In his last moments, as his EVA unit melted down under him, he understood the grave miscalculation he had made. "It seems I wasn't meticulous enough." And with that, Unit 13 exploded fantastically. "No way! He just killed his own guy," Goku said. Vegeta scoffed. "Looks like their little team is falling apart." With that, Vegeta began to fly after Eren, who could not be stopped. "Get us ahead of Eren," Reiner commanded. Frankie acknowledged and pulled the ship around. Reiner looked to Bertolt. "Now's your time. You got this." Bertolt let out a swallow and nodded. He jumped overboard and hovered there in empty space. "Get us back," Reiner commanded. Frankie pulled the ship hard to starboard and got them out as fast as possible. As Bertolt saw Eren coming, he spoke under his breath. "Tell me, Eren, is this what you felt when I was the one ending your world?" He bit into his hand, releasing an energy as powerful as a nuclear weapon and as bright as the sun. In that moment, the colossal titan appeared as large as Eren's founding angel. It stopped its movements and hovered there for a moment, staring down Bertolt. Eventually, it began moving again. Getting closer, Bertolt struck out at Eren's AT field, only to be pushed back. Eren would respond with a strike to his jaw. At this time, EVA Unit 1 made it. From here, comms with Central Dogma had gone silent. Shinji looked around for his father, but only found the remains of Unit 13 and the last remaining Spear of Longinus. Shinji flew over and picked it up. Looking down at Eren, he prepared to throw it, but stopped when Eren's Titan turned and looked straight at him. Goku looked to Vegeta. "Vegeta, what about that thing?" "What thing, Kakarot?" "You know, that thing you did on Earth that one time. Looks like it would help us out a lot if we were that size." "That won't work, Kakarot. We don't have tails anymore. We'd need to absorb 10 times as much blood waves to even dare turn into great apes with their tails." "Well, why can't you generate that?" Goku asked. "I mean, you're more than 10 times stronger now than you were then. Surely you can do it." Vegeta went to offer a rebuttal, but then he realized that Goku was right. "Fine, but just remember, you don't know how to use a great ape, so don't look at it." Goku laughed. "Whatever you say, Vegeta." Vegeta formed a power ball in his hand and threw it into the air. "Burst open and mix." Suddenly, a bright ball formed in the sky. Vegeta looked into it for a moment and felt every cell in his body fill with a primal energy. He began to grow in size, his entire body being covered in fur. This fur then turned a deep shade of blue as he added his Evo-led blue state on top. He then began to grow in size, his entire body being covered in fur. The fur then turned a deep shade of blue as he added his evolved blue state on top of it. "It's certainly been a while since I used this," Vegeta said, his voice as deep as a canyon. Goku, defying Vegeta, would look at it too, turning into a Saiyan great ape as well.
Kakarot, I told you not to do that.
Goku laughed as he looked down. I feel so tall. Vegeta was confused.
You can control that form? How?
I had to learn how to do it when I first achieved Super Saiyan 4 in the Demon Realm, remember? Vegeta did remember.
Fine, then we attack together.
At about this time, Naruto and Sasuke not only utilized their own larger forms, but merged them together into the majestic armor Kurama. Reiner, despite being a Titan, felt a little left out due to being far smaller than the others, but regardless, he jumped over the side of the ship and transformed into his armored Titan form. Luffy looked back. Chopper, do Monster Point! Chopper's eyes widened. What? There's no way I can beat that guy. I'm not even as tall as Reiner in that form. Luffy groaned. Well, we gotta do something to help. Usopp, get on the cannon. What? Luffy, I don't think our cannon will pierce that shield. I'm talking about the big cannon, Luffy said. The gallon cannon, Frankie asked. Even with 3 barrels of cola, I don't think it'll work. How about 5, Luffy asked. We need those other barrels to catch ourselves with the coup to burst, or we might crash into something. Luffy looked around at the massive open space. I don't see nothing to crash into. Frankie thought about it. Fine, but there's no guarantee the cannon will survive that many barrels. The whole ship might go down. Luffy stood there on the deck, his arms crossed, laughing as he faced down death itself. Frankie sighed. Usopp? Usopp looked back. You're not serious, right? Frankie sighed again. Captain's orders. All the while, Chopper was loading up more barrels with his heavy point form. Once loaded, they got ready. Usopp, target that thing on the Titan's chest, Robin called down. Usopp got the cannon ready. Ready to fire! Wait until the moment's right, Robin said. At this time, Unit 1 was coming in with the Spear of Longinus. Eren, with his own spear, turned back and threw his at Shinji, only for it to shear off one of Unit 1's arms. Shinji, adrenaline pumping, shouted as he pushed through Eren's AT field. This was a decisive moment, and Unit 1 entered a berserker state, even regrowing the arm it had lost. It attempted to stab through Eren's core, but Eren caught the spear and manipulated it around Eren, while simultaneously shearing off Shinji's other arm at the shoulder. Just as Eren was about to continue the attack though, Usopp fired the cannon. The blast was so strong that it pushed through Eren's currently weakened AT field and smashed right into the core. The cannon of the Thousand Sunny was totally destroyed, and the Sunny was sent flying back so fast that it seemed as though it would never stop. Everyone was holding on for dear life. As the ship spiraled, Luffy looked up and managed to see the Spear of Longinus still flying back. He reached up and grabbed it. Look at this, Luffy said as he pulled the spear down. Luffy smiled as he looked at Usopp. Think you can finish the job? None could pierce the AT field, and even though Eren was wounded, he had long since turned to continue his trek towards the Golgotha object. It was then that the Thousand Sunny pulled up. Usopp on the bow, a little shaken, took a swallow and remembered that if he did this correctly, he would gain a new title, Slayer of Gods. As he stood there, he shouted out with a loud voice, "From Hell's heart I stab at thee! For hate's sake, I spit my last breath at thee!" He threw the spear. Eren attempted to catch this one too, but the size of the spear had been altered to fit in the hand of an average man. His hand could not catch it. It passed clean through the AT field and into the core, where it pierced it. The core shattered, and at that, Eren's founding angel let out one final roar before exploding spectacularly into a cruciform pillar of light. As the battle settled, Usopp raised his hands. I did it! I am Usopp, Slayer of Divine Beings! Zoro shook his head. We're never gonna hear the end of this one. Everyone stood upon the deck of the Thousand Sunny. It had seen better days indeed, but all were safe, and that's what mattered most. Drawing close to the Golgotha object, they couldn't help but notice the 4 beings like angels watching them from afar. How much do you think they had to do with this? Sasuke asked. I don't know, Reiner said. Eren had commanded the Founding Titan. It connects all Eldians through the paths, an otherworldly dimension beyond space and time. It's possible Eren managed to find a way to travel through space and time somehow, or at least that's my theory. I guess we'll never know. As they pulled up to the Golgotha object, the ability to do anything, have anything, and be anything was within their grasp, but Naruto, standing at the bow of the ship, knew what the responsible thing was to do. He looked back at the others. It was an honor to meet all of you. You displayed bravery, and you showed us things we never thought we'd see. Thank you. Likewise, Sasuke said. Goku and Vegeta nodded. It wasn't the battle we thought we'd get, Vegeta said. But I'll be damned if it wasn't a good one, he said, suppressing a smile. Goku laughed. Yeah, it was fun. Who knew there were so many strong guys in the Omniverse? Reiner and Bertold stood there and looked out over anti-space. To think that Eren could be as capable of... Reiner trailed off. Bertold then spoke. Of doing what we did to him? Reiner looked down and nodded. Bertolt put his hand on Reiner's shoulder. What if the Colossal Titan and the Armored Titan were to protect Paradise instead of destroy it? Reiner looked up. Do you think they can ever forgive us? Bertolt shook his head. I don't know, but there's always a way to find out. Luffy walked over and gave Goku some knuckles. Wasn't our first crossover we've had, Goku said. And it won't be the last, Luffy responded. Shinji stood there and smiled. He went to speak but stopped short, his smile fading. Goku walked over to Shinji and threw his arms around him. Shinji's eyes lit up for a moment as tears began to trail down his cheeks. He spoke. I can never thank you guys enough for all you've done for us. Our world would be so different now if it hadn't been for you all. Thank you. Vegeta looked to Shinji and scoffed. Damn, always with the waterworks. Grow up already, you spineless twerp. Thank you, Vegeta. I will try. Good. Don't make me come back here. He turned away from the group. Is everyone ready? Naruto asked. Shinji looked at Naruto for a moment and then smiled. Goodbye, Mr. Uzumaki. Naruto smiled. Goodbye, Shinji. And with that, Naruto touched the monument, causing a massive light to radiate outward. A particular spiky-haired man in an orange key sat on a picnic blanket, picking out as per usual. Goku, I've known you for years, and yet your appetite still surprises me, a woman with blue hair said. To his side sat Vegeta, picking out. Hey, Vegeta, wanna spar? For the first time that day, Vegeta cracked a smile. Let's do it, Kakarot. Sasuke sat atop the Hokage's monument. What are you thinking about? Naruto said as he stepped out onto the stone. Naruto saw the sight and wondered to himself how many times he had been there. How many times he had looked upon this scene, the finest handiwork, the most pure brushstroke of any artist drawn by the very hand of God, a living painting. Sasuke looked back at Naruto, seeing his white cape draped around him and his ever-present smile that spoke of optimism and believing in hope for as long as life allowed him to. Sasuke couldn't help but return the smile a bit. I was just reflecting on our journey to this point, all the struggle, strife, and hardships. Naruto walked up next to him. And if I could go back, I wouldn't do anything different, the Hokage said as he looked out over their peaceful little village. Remembering Shinji, Goku, Vegeta, the Straw Hats, Naruto smiled. I wouldn't do a single thing different. Thundering clouds roared overhead as a single ship passed through the raging seas of the Grand Line. At the helm, the captain stood, his smile defying the very nature that threatened to scuttle their tiny ship. Defiance. Defiance was his middle name. Monkey D. Luffy, captain of the Straw Hat crew, smiled brightly in the face of certain doom. His dreams of adventure, of becoming the Pirate King, at reaching the pinnacle of freedom burning within him like a flame that lit even the darkest of hours. Below on deck, not a single member of the crew was worried. They trusted their captain to lead them through this storm as they had the others. As the waves crashed around them, Usopp ran to the bow and exclaimed, Do your worst, Hurricane! I am Usopp, slayer of gods! You cannot frighten me! In Tokyo 3, the night was calm. The buildings were up above the geofront again, and Shinji was simply sitting under the stars looking up into the dark void that, while empty and devoid of light, was sprinkled with tiny stars, as if some metaphor. At a distance, Major Katsuragi, acting commander of NERV, that is until the United Nations inevitably shut it down, watched. Shinji was a unique case, a boy who stood as a textbook case of the hedgehog's dilemma. A boy who, for fear of hurting others and hurting himself, closed off and refused to make friends, fearing the pain that inevitably came with love, the cost of saying goodbye to a friend. And right now, he had to say goodbye to all of the friends he'd just made. She could only imagine the pain he was in right now. She walked over to him. Shinji, are you okay? He wiped his eyes a bit and smiled in a bright and authentic way. This was the first time she had seen a truly authentic smile from him. Something in him had changed. Are you okay? She asked. He nodded. I came to understand something, he said. And what's that? She asked. I came to understand that friendship hurts. It hurts to say goodbye, but that's okay. Because it's the pain we feel that adds context to the love we share. Love is about sacrifice. It's about being willing to hurt to help others. The hedgehog had learned to share its body heat with others despite its quills. And I came to realize that, even though it hurts to be apart, that pain is not as bad as if I had never known them at all. Somewhere out there, in this vast multiverse, there are people who like me, think highly of me, care about me. Misato smiled. No matter the distance, a friend is still a friend, she said. And don't forget, you have friends here too. Shinji looked down to see Asuka at the bottom of the hill, griping about how sticky the humid air was, all while Rei waved to him. Shinji smiled and waved. Maybe it's time we get back to them then. Fulfillment, peace, freedom. 3 concepts that all forms of life chase. All humans, anyway. Or, well, we idealize them anyway. A world where nobody is lonely. A world where nobody needs to die in a war or lose those they love to circumstances beyond control. A world where anything you wish to do and see becomes reality. 3 concepts that are pure and desirable, yet elusive. This was the story of a group of individuals who, despite being separated by space and time, by the very natures of blank pieces of paper, managed to connect to chase their dreams. Their dreams of a world where everything was perfectly imperfect. A world where troubles existed but their bonds overcame. A world where universes collided and finally passed by like ships in the night. But despite being separated, they continued to hold out hope that one day they would all be reunited. Fu sat in his control room by the monitor. Madara had a chair pulled up beside him, sitting in it backwards. Madara looked over at Fu and rolled his eyes before grabbing a box of tissues and handing it to him. Fu took one and blew his nose. "Such a beautiful ending," he said as he wiped the tears from his 3 eyes. "That guy was impressive, but I don't really think we can use him now," Madara said. Fu stood. "That's where you'd be wrong. Did you forget about the Rinnegan's outer path? The ability to control life and death?" "Yes, but such an act generally costs the life of anyone who uses it," Madara said. Fu nodded. "Yes, but here's the thing. He might not actually be dead." Madara seemed skeptical. Fu opened a portal, and suddenly a bunch of orange goo fell into a nearby tank. "You see, the Evangelion universe also has the ability to resurrect the dead. However, when they do it, they call it salvaging. You know why?" "Why?" Madara asked. "Because all the base parts are still there. You just can't see it. All I need to do is guide the soul within this substance back to a form it used to have while it's still warm." Fu began to use his powers to manipulate the LCL. Suddenly, the form of Eren Yeager popped out of the flask and landed on the floor, completely and utterly naked. "Whoops, clothes beam!" He fired a beam of light at Eren, forming clothes. Madara looked at Fu with confusion. "A little trick I picked up from a Namekian," Fu said. He then helped Eren up. Eren seemed panicked, out of breath, slightly traumatized. As he looked around, he began to cool off. After all, this was the first time he had ever reincarnated somewhere different than that tree in Shiganshina. "Where am I? And who are you?" Fu smiled. "Oh dear Eren, you'll learn in due time. But before I tell you, I need to talk to the viewers of this video. Hey you, out there, if you like this video, be sure to clicky-clack all the nice buttons. Subscribe to the channel before I'm forced to break the 4th wall again. Be sure to leave a comment below if you want to see me do more experiments. I'm always looking for more ideas from my unpaid interns. That's right, subscribe and you can be my intern. Now, check out some of these other experiments of mine while I help poor Eren here get his bearings. See you next time.